Honorable members, at the break, we was debating a compendium of bills. I presume we are now ready.
Done just before the break, and I think it was the member for St. Anne's who would have indicated something on the record that I want to correct on her behalf and on behalf of the Parliament. That Program Sure, he indicated as an initiative that existed in '92. She corrected him, or under the former administration. And it was corrected in terms of what our message was that was misconstrued. But also, it's important to state on the record that Program Sure was ultimately, and its success ultimately reassures everybody, the acronym. It was established at the campus of the Industrial Training Center under the direction of Dr. Bernard J. Nottage, who was at that time the Minister of Education and Culture. And that was in February of '92, before the former administration, actually under a Pinlin administration. And so I'd like to correct that for the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Speaker,
the chair recognizes the Honorable Member for St. Anne's.
This afternoon's already starting off oddly, Madam Speaker, and we got to sit through an hour, 2 hours with the member for Yamacraw coming up. All I said was that the Sure program was started in 1992, and it wasn't something that was just coming into effect now. I didn't identify any party there. If they assume that 1992 is F&M, that's on them. But don't. I said
the Davis administration.
Yeah, it didn't start under the Davis administration. It started in 1992. So I don't need people standing up on the record. What can Yamacraw do? What can Yamacraw do? Don't pretend in the House of Assembly that you're in your constituency office, sir. Do not pretend in the House of Assembly.
Honorable members, you made your point? You made your point?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Yes, sir.
And
okay.
I would like, if the Speaker is so minded, for there to be acknowledgement that the record doesn't need to be corrected because there wasn't anything incorrect that I had stated. It's up to you on that, though, Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the
Member for Central Grand Bahama.
Central Grand Bahama.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I can hear from the tone of your voice, Madam Speaker, that you're not doing your best. So we just keep you in prayer that you'll get the rest that you need and that you'll recover as necessary. Amen. That was not quite, my brother. Parliamentary colleague, Madam Speaker, to the esteemed constituents of Central Grand Bahama and my beloved Bahamian people, I stand before you today not merely to participate in a budget debate, but to voice the raw, unvarnished, the truth of our reality. I stand here as a voice for the forgotten, a champion for the struggling, and a steadfast advocate for the future. I often say, while some think about the next election, I think about the next generation. Madam Speaker, I often say that I am not a politician because I do not know politics. Rather, I am a people-tician because I know people, and I fight for the people. Madam Speaker, it is the people's reality, their struggles, and their aspirations that must truly guide the priorities of this Parliament and the allocation within this budget. The member for Cat Island, the Honourable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, has stood before us and declared a historic achievement. For the first time in an independent Bahamas, a balanced budget with a surplus. Madam Speaker, a balanced or surplus budget is definitely a step in the right direction, and it's good news for the Bahamian people. But the question of many is, how realistic are those numbers? In May 2024, a forecast for 2025-26 was presented for a GFS surplus of $448.2 million. But in 2025, the budget has now been dropped to only $75.5 million. Where any surplus we meet is good, a more conservative approach may be warranted. Additionally, Madam Speaker, the 2023-24 actual recurrent revenue fell short of budget by 7.5% at only 92.5% of budgeted recurrent revenue, and the GFS deficit was $63 million, or 48% higher than the budget deficit. In simple terms, for my everyday Joe Blow, the budget was ambitious, and we spent $63 million net more than we budgeted. So, as the young people say, make it make sense. I wonder, Madam Speaker, does this surplus take into account the payment of amount owed to government workers and business owed? A surplus budget is good on paper, but a surplus due to withholding what is due to the Bahamian people is not a surplus in the best interest of the same people. I guess, Madam Speaker, only time will tell if this surplus budget comes to reality. In the meantime, Madam Speaker, I want to warn this New Day government that the Bahamian people were not just born yesterday. They understand that we are entering into a very sticky season. Some of us call it a silly season. The promises will be bigger and the dreams will be more extravagant. But they deserve more than the voodoo economics they are being sold. Madam Speaker, before I move on to the meat and potatoes of this budget, Madam Speaker, I must address the fundamental issue. And that is about transparency and accountability, particularly, Madam Speaker, in light of recent comment by the Prime Minister regarding the Freedom of Information Act. Madam Speaker, the very purpose of a fully implemented FOIA is to give the Bahamian people the right to access information, especially in moments of uncertainty, concerns, or public doubt. Yet, according to this administration, even a fully enacted FOIA will not meaningfully increase transparency. That, Madam Speaker, is very troubling. If the government itself doubts the usefulness of a transparency mechanism, how then can the Bahamian people trust the information they receive? How can we verify claims such as a budget surplus that somehow still fails to fund essential national priorities? If, Madam Speaker, Social Security is the government's stated focus, then surely transparency must be its constant companion. Anything less undermines public trust and weakens democratic accountability. At this point, Madam Speaker, it seems the only thing we are left to rely on is the government's word. And recent history tells us that that is simply not enough. In the spirit of transparency and accountability, Madam Speaker, I humbly make the following suggestion for additions needed to future budget presentation. During the period July to March, provisional figures be added to the fiscal summary page to reflect the GFS deficit surplus for ease of review and for comparison. The actual figures from previous years ought to be presented next to the budgeted amount to easily see the variances, and a summary listing of outstanding amount payable by the government. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister brought some good news. He spoke about several progress, and some of them caught my attention, like the free Wi-Fi in the parks, among some. It's a notable initiative, but history will reflect that this was something that I pioneered in my constituency of Central Grand Bahama, opening the first Wi-Fi free park on May 10, 2018 at the YMTA Park in Hunters. Member of Parliament, Central Grand Bahama. So it is good that that is repeated. Thank you. Yes, of course, another initiative that is commendable. Prime Minister spoke of feeding over 1 million breakfasts to our school children. Very good, much needed. While these efforts are commendable in their intent, I must ask with all due respect and with the deepest empathy for our struggling families, if our budget is truly balanced, why still is the misery index so high, particularly in Grand Bahama? This is not a theoretical question. It is a lived experience for far too many. A balanced budget on paper means very little to the parent who cannot find work, to the family facing eviction, to the small business owner still owed money by the very government touting its surplus. It means very little to the Bahamian who struggles daily to put food on their own table, to provide their own children with a balanced meal. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to see that there were some reductions in value-added tax. Things for diapers, feminine products, and other items as mentioned by the Prime Minister. Good news. But what about everyday items like food, medication, and some of the things that St. Barnabas always talk about? This administration, wonderful. And eventually we're going to get it down to zero. This administration, Madam Speaker, and I must speak the truth, is patting itself on the back for reversing, in some instances, their own wrong. There was already a zero VAT rate on some of these items. Instead of admitting they were wrong, they're trying to, what I'll say, glue the bottle back together and pat themselves for the water not leaking out. But, Madam Speaker, it's just a little too late for that. The Bahamian people already see you for your true colors. They see that your blueprint for change ain't what the paper is printed on.
The chair recognizes the
Go
honorable
right ahead.
member for Yamacraw.
Madam Speaker, I don't want to interrupt the flow of Central Grand Bahama, but I just wanted to show the 23 items to the public again. 23 items. And when we actually exposed, yes, and what you mentioned just now, these aren't even all bread basket items. These aren't even all food items. These aren't all food items, right? And they are grouped items because baby cereal, baby food, baby formula, they're the same thing. So, so that's 20 if you put them three together. And similarly, there's powdered detergent here. Sure, and there's some place they can't eat that. And then mustard, like, come on, people buy mustard once every quarter. So butter and margarine, and so that's taking two more. But this is what the member for St. Barnabas, the member for Central Grand Bahama is boasting of, that we actually, I mean, it's shameful to compare that now to the hundreds of items now, thousands of items that are listed now at a 5% reduction. To compare that, the numbers don't lie. So I just want to, sorry for the interruption, but I just have to put that on record.
This is what debate is all about. The budget is an attempt, Madam Speaker, to placate the feelings of the Bahamian people after nearly 5 years of increased crime, diminished health care, and sweeping poverty. Madam Speaker, I see a continued budget focus on the reliance of increased taxes and fees on the Bahamian people, but little shift to revenue derived from investment from our natural resources. Hopefully soon we will see a shift. Madam Speaker, the true measure of a nation's prosperity is not found in a ledger, but in the dignity and well-being of its citizen. It's not about how many breakfasts the government provides, but how many parents are empowered to provide those breakfasts themselves. It's about opportunity, Madam Speaker, not dependence. It's about creating an environment where our students don't need to be fed by the government because their parents are securely employed and able to provide for their own household with pride and with independence. That, Madam Speaker, is true empowerment. That is the true meaning. That is a truly meaningful and balanced meal for a Bahamian family. And let us be clear, a budget surplus alongside a struggling populace is an oxymoron. It either speaks to a disconnect between policy and reality or a prioritization that misses the fundamental needs of our people. The surplus that truly matters, Madam Speaker, the surplus that truly matters is a surplus of jobs, a surplus of hope, and a surplus of opportunity for every Bahamian. And if I was on the other side, they would be knocking for me right now. So I'll knock for myself. Madam Speaker, we ought to move, Madam Speaker, we ought to move from dependence to dignity. Madam Speaker, the concept, Madam Speaker, the concept of empowerment is not just a buzzword. It is the cornerstone of a truly prosperous and self-reliant nation. Yes, I will. For too long, our policies, however well-intentioned, have inadvertently fostered a culture of dependence. While social safety nets are absolutely necessary for those in need, Madam Speaker, our ultimate goal must be to equip every Bahamian with the tools, with the skills, and the opportunities to stand on their own 2 feet, to build their own dreams, and to contribute meaningfully to our society. Madam Speaker, the question now is, how do we empower Bahamians? As we approach Labor Day, I want to echo the words of the late, great Sir Randall Fox. Fox, who was also the first independent member of Parliament to be elected to this Parliament, said in his book, the other book, The Fate That Moved the Mountains, not the book that you all referred to yesterday, this new Bahamian, he said, this new Bahamian will no longer accept second-class citizenship. He stands tall with the light of freedom in his eyes and the fame of freedom in his heart. Sir Randolph believed that Bahamianization was not just about jobs, it was about ownership, it was about dignity and national pride. Madam Speaker, is this united government forgetting the vision of the great man that came before us? Is Bahamianization no longer the goal? What happened to teaching people to fish instead of giving them a little porgy? Bahamian people do not want handouts, Madam Speaker. They deserve handouts. They got to fry it dry, right? Along with grunt. Got to fry it dry. Like Sir Lyndon once said, Bahamianization means that Bahamians must be given every opportunity to participate fully in the economic life of their own country. Madam Speaker, I can say with all certainty that this budget does not reflect that vision. It seems that this administration is out of step with their own ideology, but they want the Bahamian people to believe in a vision that they no longer know how to execute. Madam Speaker, let me help them out a bit with ways that we can move towards reclaiming this vision. Firstly, Madam Speaker, through education. And the Minister of Education gave a wonderful presentation this morning. And vocational training that is truly aligned with the needs of the 21st century economy. We must move beyond rote learning and prepare our youth for the jobs that are emerging, not just the ones that once were. This means investing heavily in STEM education, digital literacy, and technical skills that allow our young people to be innovators, to be creators, and leaders in fields like renewable energy, technology, and specialized trades. I want to amplify it. Let us ensure, Madam Speaker, let us ensure, and if it was good, it was done, I want to reinforce it. Let us ensure our curriculum fosters critical thinking, problem solving, and entrepreneurial spirit from an early age. Let us tailor a curriculum that speaks to an emerging Bahamas, one that will cause the Bahamas to be recognized, Madam Speaker, and this is important, not as a small island state, but as a smart island state. In regards to the budget, I take note of the significant reduction, yes, in capital expenditures estimated related to the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training. Approximately, you have to explain that when you get up, approximately 51 million was approved for the fiscal period 2024-25, and 70.5 million was spent in the prior period 2023-24. But only 40 million is estimated for 2025-26. It's a big job. I trust that this 18% decrease in estimated capital expenditures does not reflect the government priority or lack thereof for modernizing our educational system and empowering our Bahamian people through first-class education. Secondly, Madam Speaker, by providing true access to capital and reducing bureaucratic hurdles for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. The Bahamian entrepreneurial spirit, Madam Speaker, is indeed undeniable. Our people have brilliant ideas, incredible talent, and an unparalleled work ethic. So when you hear this notion that Bahamians are lazy, that's just a lie from the pits of hell. I don't believe in that. Bahamians can do it just as good or better than any other nation. But Madam Speaker, the reality is too often these dreams are stifled by lack of affordable financing. We face it every day. Complex business licensing processes and a daunting regulatory environment. The ease of doing business is just a shadow. We need to work on that. It is killing us. We must streamline these processes, create accessible loan and grant programs specifically for Bahamian startups, and ensure that government procurement are transparent and actively prioritizes local businesses. When we, Madam Speaker, empower a small business owner, we empower their family, their employees, and their entire community. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, we must empower Bahamians by fostering a culture of self-reliance and pride in our own or in their own abilities. We are a resilient people, a creative people, a resourceful people. This budget must reflect a belief in the Bahamian capacity to excel. It must create the conditions for our people to innovate, to produce, and to thrive rather than simply consume. You know, Madam Speaker, true empowerment means providing the tools, give them the tools, and then step back and allow the Bahamians' ingenuity to flourish. In this regard, Madam Speaker, going through the budget, I take note of the 2025-26 budget estimates for capital expenditures for small and medium-sized businesses support under the Ministry of Finance, item 2822031, and it's on page 203. The proposed estimates total $4.5 million, only $4.5 million. But perhaps the government may see it fit to increase this amount to show greater support for small business development in our nation. As a point of clarification, and again, I guess it will come later, we seek further details on items number 22282201, capital subscription to international agencies, and that's caught my eyes on page 203, which increased from $1.3 million in 2023-24 to $27 million in 24-25, and an estimated at $31.5 million for 25-26. Finally, another item, Madam Speaker, 2822065, capital budget reserve appropriation was estimated at $15 million in 2024-25, $22.5 million 25-26, but seemed to be a new item as there's nothing for 23-24 or 24-25 recognized to date as yet. Can we get further details? I guess later it will come on during the wrap-up. Madam Speaker, in reference to my good island of Grand Bahama, there is, Madam Speaker, the need to call for urgent action and strategic investment. The island of Grand Bahama is the economic engine of the North. It is a beacon of potential, yet for too long we have felt neglected. Our potential stunted by the echoes of past devastation and a lack of sustained strategic investment. Yes, Madam Speaker, based on recent announcements and activities, things are looking up, and we acknowledge the recent announcement of the hotel sale, good news, which offer a glimmer of hope. But a glimmer is not a full sunrise at daybreak in this government's new day. And you know, the question was asked by East Grand Bahama, was asked yesterday about the money. How much was received? Where is the money? You know, the member for Exumas and Ragged Island said the money's in the bank, and I believe him. The question is, which bank? Is it a local bank? Is it a foreign bank? He didn't lie. I believe it's in the bank. But is the money on the way, or is it in the Bahamas? Which bank is the money in? He didn't lie. See, these politicians are very smart. I don't know if you read that book. I don't know if you read that book, but it's a good way of putting the spin. The book. But he said, the money's in the bank. And people will say, where's the money? They probably can't. I believe him. It's in the bank. Which bank? Not only that. More than that. More than that. And he said, we're bragging about the hotel in the airport, which are good achievements, But Grand Bahama, we had hotels before. Look, that ain't nothing new. We had the international airport before. What else are we doing to change the game? Because we replaced what is there. So the question, I want Grand Bahama to thrive. Let's see what else we can do. Let's see what else we can do besides replacing what we experienced in past gone days. The unemployment rate on Grand Bahama, while showing some signs of improvement, remains a critical concern. Madam Speaker, I live in Grand Bahama. Whenever the second meeting is over, I don't know which speaker you recognize. You still recognize Central Grand Bahama? Okay. Madam Speaker, I live in Grand Bahama. Our people are resilient. Madam Speaker, the point I want to raise is resilience without opportunity breeds frustration. We need more than promises. We need concrete actions that translates into tangible jobs and a robust economy. With this in mind, I take note. Yes, and again, I'm critical. I'm not just pointing fingers. I'm looking at possible solutions, how we can make this thing even better. With this in mind, I take note of the provisional capital expenditure as it relates to the Ministry for Grand Bahama for the 9 months ended March 2025. And it's, again, I look at the book on page 74, page 201, and highlights that only $279, maybe I'm wrong, $1,109 of the $3.5 million approved, which is less than 8%, was spent for this extremely important ministry. We had the money. Let's spend it. We need it. However, Madam Speaker, I recognize the allocation of $1 million each for the following projects: the demolition of the tower, Casino and Bazaar. Good. $1 million for West Sunrise Highway. Good. Then I see $1 million for the acquisition of the Royal Oasis. And my eyebrows went way up. I am trying to understand why a property, I could be off. I'm here to ask the question. You provide the answer. A property that was abandoned for some 30 years, we still be offering to pay $1 million for it? Which country can the Bahamian, can any of us go in? Where is Canada, United States, Australia, or anywhere in the world, open a business, we receive insurance money from whatever catastrophe, and we leave the property for 3 years and go back and see if you still own that property. Who will own that property? There's no way you can abandon a property as a Bahamian in another country for 15, 20, 30 years and come back and still own it. That country would have clawed it back a long time. See, when those companies got those properties, there were certain provisions, there were certain deliverables. As you draw back on your responsibilities and your deliverables, we claw back some of your benefits. I understand. I don't know what value was done. I don't know what look. There's a song that said, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, now I'm blind.
No, now I'm fine.
Now I'm fine. I was blind, but now I see. No. We all grow up. We all grow up. And there's a scripture that says, when I was a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. When I become a man, I put away childish things. We grow every day. We see things. But my argument is this. Can we save $1 million? Can we save $1 million?
The chair recognizes.
That's the question. If the answer is no.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. I mean, it's amazing. He was in a government that paid $65 million for a hotel. But it would be interesting if he could help the Bahamian people with where this property is located how much acreage it is, and whether it has any buildings on it. And if so, what's the square footage on those buildings? Because most resorts would be worth 30, 40 million, and 1 million may be a steal. So if he could help us with where it's located, how many acres it is, and whether it has any structures on it and its square footage, that would show context.
In our country,
The
and the same
acreage,
companies
man.
overseas making money in Ireland and Australia, all over the world, and leave it in the heart of Freeport, and we paying for it. We need to enact policies where in the future they make these kind of mistakes. If you're not living up to responsibility, you lose it, and it goes back to the people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you abandoned the property in the heart of my city for years. You pull up anchor and you left. And I can still pay for it. That's why, like I say, one day, you know, someday children grow up. And my eyes are wide open. The blinders are off. My eyes are open. I can see. I can see the light. I can see clearly now. All the rain is gone. I can see it. But again, my question was why? Why can't we get it
The
back?
chair recognizes the honorable member for Pine Ridge.
The member for Central Grand Bahama, he is the member of parliament for that area. And I think the member for Kalani, we spoke on that previously. I'm pulling you in it. I'm pulling you in it. I'm pulling you in it. Everyone is aware of this property with the Royal Oasis, which was once the Princess Towers and Casino. The acreage of land that we're talking about is about 18.5 acres of land in the center of Freeport. It also includes the area that we're now reopening, the West Sunrise Highway, that previous governments allowed the owners to come in and close off a main thoroughfare. So one of the main reasons for the acquisition is to be able to reopen West Sunrise Highway and also to acquire that, which is the Princess Tower and the casino property, along with the International Bazaar to develop the Afro-Caribbean marketplace that's being developed through Afro-XM Bank. So it's for a major development, but no one over all these many years have been able to rescue the situation. You've been the member of parliament for all these years in Central Grand Bahama and haven't been able to tackle it. I know that the member of Kalani had also indicated that it was such a muddled transaction. And so we're dealing with it. We're addressing it and we're fixing it. So you should thank us for being able to handle it.
I do not want a member for Pine Ridge to think that this is an attack. It is not. I understand the reason. I understand the reason for the development. It's needed. It's in the heart of the city. That was a heartbeat of Freeport. Why you should go? I'm just saying. I don't know. Did we check? Do they owe the hotel corporation? They pay the real property taxes? Did they owe the government anything that they wasn't paying over the last 30 years? Do we have enough evidence to take? Yes, we need it. My only question was that $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. And in the meantime, the property was great. It was just a mosquito-infested area. The area, yes, it was overgrown. Area for criminals. It was an area, so I'm just saying, they abandoned it. So my only question is this, and I'll move on. My only question was, why didn't we just take it? That's my only question. Why didn't we take it? Anyway, while these, exactly, and give me $1 million for something else. we could build a dock, and the fishermen crying for a ramp every day. $1 million could have built a ramp in Hannah Hill and 8 Mile Rock where you grew up, in Williamstown, in Hunters. We could build several ramps with that $1 million. That's all I'm saying. But I support the acquisition. I support it. Just how? I fully support under development. I'm for it. I'm rooting for it. And I'm hoping that it's successful. Madam Speaker, another thing is, I was a bit disheartened, Madam Speaker, to take note of the comprehensive listing of public investment projects that are ongoing and new as listed in Annex 16 and 17. Madam Speaker, what hurt my heart was that I didn't see anything for Grand Bahama. We need real solutions for Grand Bahama, and you can go back and check those pages. I didn't see it. And I wasn't blind looking at that page. My eyes, my blinders were off. I was seeing clearly. There was no rain.
When it came off.
some time now. All right. Successive governments have continued to fail the island of Grand Bahama. Successive governments, true. The hamster wheel must stop spinning at some point. I didn't say Freeport, I said Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama. What'd you say? Sorry. My first and arguable, most critical proposed solution, Madam Speaker, is the immediate and expedited development of the major international airport. We cannot, Madam Speaker, and we must not rely only or mainly on cruise tourism for our economic revival. While cruise passengers, Madam Speaker, are indeed welcome, they represent a fraction of the economic impact that stopover visitors bring. Stopover visitors stay longer. They spend more in our local restaurant, shop, and tour operations. They infuse capital directly into the veins of our small businesses and communities. Madam Speaker, a world-class international airport, I'm trying to see in the future that is going to be announced over the next few days. This international airport is not a luxury. It is a fundamental infrastructure upon which Grand Bahama's diversified economic future will be built. It is the gateway to increased airlift, higher spending tourists, and vital international investment we desperately need to create sustainable employment. And again, Madam Speaker, this airport, coming to Nassau the other morning, yeah, the weather was bad. So I was kind of nervous for the first time in a long time. We got into the airplane, and once again, as I stated before, onto the runway, the pilot came, oh, we are first in line for departure. I've been hearing that for the last umpteen years. I'm tired of hearing that. We are first in line for departure, we are first in line. There's never any traffic going out or coming in. While that may be convenient, it may be a fast, easy, convenient fix for all of us. It speaks to a failing economy. It speaks to an economy that is not bustling. We brag about we can leave home at 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock and be at school 5 to 9.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Exeter Rhode Island.
The member for Central Grand Bahama should know that airlift for Grand Bahama is up 13% compared to last year. So you happen to be lucky to be first in line. But Grand Bahama is the fastest growing island in the country in terms of airlift.
Growing, and I can tell you, like I've said, there's never an increase, and I want to see it at 15, 30, 40, 50%. My point is, again, like at the airport, we need to see activities. We talk about the convenience of leaving home at 5 to 9 and being to school at 9 o'clock or being to work. Little traffic on the street. Again, the economic activity is not there. I'm just saying that's an inconvenience that I will welcome. Traffic on the street. Back up at the airport. I would welcome that because it speaks to an economy that is growing. We have heard, Madam Speaker, we heard it for far too long. It's time for shovel in the ground, for concrete plans with concrete timelines, and for that international airport to come. Madam Speaker, Grand Bahama's unique geographical position, its deep water harbor, and existing industrial infrastructure make it ripe for further development in logistics. You know, the container port is there, transshipment, and even niche manufacturing. We do have the area, the industrial park there. An enhanced airport would only amplify these possibilities, Madam Speaker, drawing in the investment that truly unlocks our island's vast, untapped potential. Madam Speaker, we all know the Bahamas is blessed with an abundance of natural resources. Our people, I'll start with our people, our turquoise water, our fertile land, and our glorious sun are not just aesthetic beauties. They are engines of economic growth and sustainable income generation if managed wisely and innovatively. Let's talk briefly about our marine resources. We are surrounded, Madam Speaker, by one of the richest marine ecosystems on this entire planet. Beyond traditional fishing, I'm happy that a lot of y'all like porgy, we must aggressively pursue sustainable aquaculture, creating new industries for high-valued seafood products like conch and lobsters. We can expand, and I'm anxious to hear what the member for Centerville has to say on this. We have to move, Madam Speaker, beyond traditional fishing We must aggressively pursue sustainable aquaculture, creating new industries for high-value seafood products. We can expand our marine research and educational sectors, and I'm glad they're doing something like that in the Lutra, at the Island School in the Lutra, I believe, attracting international partnership and establishing the Bahamas as a global leader in ocean science and conservation. And of course, there's Blue Action Lab in Grand Bahama, where they're doing the coral and soon to be doing conch farming, which I fully support. This not only generates income, Madam Speaker, but also protects the very resources that sustain us. Imagine, Madam Speaker, Bahamian companies leading the way in sustainable fisheries, providing jobs, and exporting quality products globally. Then, Madam Speaker, then there's our land. Madam Speaker, while we are a chain of islands, there is significant arable land that remain underutilized. Instead of importing the vast majority of our food, let us invest strategically in agriculture. Madam Speaker, this is not just about food security, which is a paramount given global uncertainties. It's about creating an agricultural sector that can generate wealth. We can focus on niche crop for export, value-added processing of our produce. Processing is something that we keep missing, and modern farming techniques that increases yield and efficiency. Madam Speaker, this means supporting our farmers with access to land, technology, and market linkages. And with that, Madam Speaker, I want to propose something that is advantageous and bold. While I commend the government's effort to modernize our land system through the Land Adjudication Bill and the Registered Land Bill, we must go further. Yes, these reforms aim to fix a system that has long failed Bahamians, limiting generational transfer, economic security, and access to credit. But what is land reform if not people-centered? What is clarity without opportunity? That is why, Madam Speaker, I've laid one before, and I will tell you what my intention is. The second bill I intend to present to this honorable House will be a true catalyst for empowerment, a bill to grant every adult Bahamian 1 acre of crown land. Land that can be used, monetized, or leveraged to build generational wealth. Madam Speaker, we're not calling for 5 acres and a mule, but let us start with 1 acre and a fair chance. And I I believe that I will find a brave, Bahamian-focused member of Parliament to second this bill. In fact, it should be seconded by all of us. Because putting money in the hand, putting the land in the hand of our people is powerful. God always, there's always a ram in the thicket. There's always a ram in the thicket. The Lord always provides. The Lord always provides. And my faith is strong. My faith is strong. And at the end of the day, can I believe you'll get better? You'll find somebody. In fact, all of us should be happy to put that forward. Because land in Bahamian hands is not just policy, Madam Speaker. It is justice. It is dignity. And it is the economic key that we've been withholding from our own people for far too long. Madam Speaker, as Sir Lyndon Pinley reminds us, land must belong to Bahamians, not to the privileged few. And, Madam Speaker, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll mention his name again, as Sir Randall Fox made clear, without land, the people are tenants in their own country. Labor cannot be truly free without a stake in the soil. So yes, every government, including this one, must make a stronger fight in this area. Finally, Madam Speaker, I believe we must empower Bahamians through our most abundant resource, which is the sun. The Bahamas has incredible potential for renewable energy. Why are we still so dependent on expensive imported fossil fuels that pollute our environment and drain our foreign reserves? You know, I heard the Prime Minister speaking the other day about the revenues generated from the cruise ship, from collecting the solid waste. But I put it in here before, and I'll state it again. We're talking about carbon emission. We're talking about opportunities. When these cruise ships crank up their engines in our harbor. Nassau Harbor, Grand Bahama, Coco Key, the carbon, the smoke that billows out of those engines, they really add to our carbon footprint. We talk about economic opportunities. Why can't our power companies, why can't we put in power substation and put policy, enact policy where they must have shore-to-ship power? Clean energy, it's a revenue stream. You must hook up your cruise ship to our power source. BEC substations, clean energy, none of that black smoke all over the place. It's something for us to consider. It's a revenue stream that we need to look at. They're coming here anyhow. They're turning on the engines. Who's monitoring? Who is overseeing, ensuring that these engines are not turned on in our harbor? And you see it every morning. Black smoke, carbon all over the place. Let us enact, we are the policymakers. When you come, you have ship-to-shore power or shore-to-ship power you have to plug in. If you want to generate electricity, it's a revenue stream that we need to capitalize on. Madam Speaker, investing heavily in solar and wind energy infrastructure will not only reduce our energy costs, making Bahamian businesses more competitive and easing the burden on households, but will also create a whole new industry of green jobs, from installation and maintenance to research and development. This is not just an environmental imperative, it is an economic opportunity that we are letting slip right through our fingers. And I'm happy to see that the Prime Minister is a champion for climate change. I want to encourage him to push in this direction too. We with you. We with you. Let's push. Let us see how we can capitalize on this matter. Madam Speaker, utilizing our natural resources is not just about today's bottom line. Madam Speaker, it is about building sustainable industries that will indeed generate wealth for generations to come. It's about diversifying our economy so we are not solely reliant on one or two sectors. It's about putting Bahamians to work in meaningful, future-proof jobs. Madam Speaker, this brings me to a core philosophy that guides my every action. I mentioned it earlier. While they are worried about the next election, I am worried about the next generation. Parliamentarians and colleagues, our responsibility, thank you for coming on board. One new disciple I said there's always a ram in the thicket. Parliamentarians and colleagues, our responsibility is in this honorable house, colleagues, seriously, our honorable house extends far beyond the next fiscal year or the next election cycle. We are stewards of this nation, entrusted with shaping the future of our children and our grandchildren. This budget must reflect a long-term vision, a commitment to sustainable development, and an unwavering focus on creating a legacy of opportunity, not debt or dependence. What does this mean for the next generation, Madam Speaker? It means investing in infrastructure that will serve them for decades, modern roads, resilient public buildings, and yes, the airport for Grand Bahama can keep putting that there. It means protecting our environment so that they can inherit the pristine beauty that defines our island. It means ensuring that our national debt does not become an unsurmountable burden on their future earnings. It means designing social programs that empower parents and provide every child with a tool to succeed, not just a meal to get by. It means fostering an economy where they can find fulfilling careers right here at home, where their talents are valued and where they can contribute to the growth of their own nation. It means teaching them about entrepreneurship, about hard work, and about the limitless possibilities that lies within them. Madam Speaker, we must make decisions today that will resonate with positive impact 20, 30, 50 years from now. We must move beyond short-sighted political calculations and embrace a strategic vision for a truly prosperous, resilient, and independent Bahamas for every Bahamian who will follow us. And yes, we mentioned the COI earlier. We recently released our Comprehensive Vision 2030 and beyond. You should read it. You should read that book too. It says a lot. Madam Speaker, the people of the Bahamas are not statistics. The people of the Bahamas, Madam Speaker, are not statistics. They are families. They are dreams. They are aspirations. They crave dignity, opportunity, and the ability to chart their own course. When we speak of a balanced budget, let it mean a balanced life for every Bahamian. Let it mean a budget that invests in human capital, in education that prepares our youth for the jobs of tomorrow, in health care that is accessible and affordable, and in social programs that provides a safety net and not a permanent hammock. My constituents in Central Grand Bahama, and indeed all Bahamians, are tired of hearing about figures that don't translate into their daily realities. They want to see their hard work rewarded, their families thriving, and their future, more importantly, secured. The spiraling cost of living, Madam Speaker, the spiraling cost of living, the lack of food security, and the feeling of being left behind are far more real than any statistical surplus. We are, Madam Speaker, an import-dependent nation, and new tariffs, while perhaps intended to protect local industries, are having a direct and detrimental impact on the lifestyle and, more importantly, the livelihoods of our citizens. Every tariff increase on essential goods filters down to the consumer, making the basic necessities of life more expensive. How can we speak of a balanced budget when our people are struggling to afford a balanced meal? In closing, Madam Speaker, I urge this New Day government that the sun is now setting on to look beyond the balance sheet and truly see the faces of our people. Let this budget not be a declaration of fiscal prudence, but a powerful commitment to economic justice and opportunity for all. Let us build that Grand Bahama International Airport, not just for tourists. Let's build this airport not just for tourists, but for the future of our island and for the entire northern Bahamas. Let us unleash the power of our natural resources, cultivating new industries in agriculture, aquaculture, and renewable energy, not just for today's GDP, but for generational wealth and a sustainable future. Let us empower our entrepreneurs, not just for economic growth, but for the spirit of innovation that really defines us. Yes, our vision, Madam Speaker, is a Bahamas where the misery index is not just lowered, but where it's banished. A Bahamas where every child has a balanced meal because their parents are balanced individuals who are employed, empowered, and prosperous. A Bahamas that stands as a testament to what can be achieved when a government truly listens to its people, addresses their core needs, invests strategically in their future, and allow them to benefit from our natural resources. Madam Speaker, yes, in closing, the last time like a Baptist preacher, let this be the budget that truly balances the scale, not just for the government, but for every single Bahamian. Let us be the budget that creates a surplus of dignity, opportunity, and hope across our islands. Let us work together with conviction and with courage to make that vision a vibrant reality. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Central Grand Bahama rests, as I know that I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me.
Hey, you got plenty of people to second it right now.
As many, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Pinewood.
Madam Speaker, Central has taken on a new demeanor. I'm sure he's influenced by my constituent, but it's good to see the passion.
Your constituent better watch. Your constituent better.
Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf
Of the wonderful people of the Pinewood constituency who sent me into this place to act on their behalf, whose support I am forever grateful. Madam Speaker, before I get into my contribution, I would first like to commend the Minister of Finance, the member for Rocket Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, the Minister of Finance, for a budget that shows the priority of this government towards the Bahamian people. With regards to those that I represent, Madam Speaker, the 20+ million that has been appropriated to solve a long, vexing problem in my community, Madam Speaker. The government should be commended, and the people of Pinewood is very grateful. But you know, Madam Speaker, Pinewood as a constituency also encompasses part of your constituency. And so does Seabreeze, Nassau Village, and South Beach. So what is saying about remediation in Pinewood, the Pinewood Gardens also benefit other areas because you have Pinewood, the constituency, and Pinewood Gardens. And so, Madam Speaker, road repairs, speed bumps, and I'd like to thank the Minister of National Security, the member for Freetown, for the 15,000 square foot community center that is coming to Pinewood, and that would be dealt with right after the budget. Those who would have attended, I think, in March of this year, we went through the drawings of that beautiful facility that will be the standard building in the community government building. Madam Speaker, next week Friday, the Golden Eagles of Cleveland Indians will be having their award ceremony. And I congratulate the graduating class, in particular, McQuail Dawkins and Trevor Miller, most outstanding male and female students, who would, for the next year, be attending the Charles W. Sanders Baptist School and Bahamas Academy, complimentary for the third year of the Member of Parliament. Madam Speaker, the Golden Eagles would have won their 9th primary school, government primary school track and field championship. Along with that, a school of 723 students, with 102 of them making the honor roll this year, Madam Speaker. And they should be commended, the principal, staff, and students of the school, and also the Buttonwood Preschool, the staff and students, all 46 of them. I wish them well. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank my family, particularly my 81-year-old mother, Beverly LaRoda, for continued support, a real fighter, your good cousin, a now 4-time cancer survivor, and live each day too with the energy that some of us could only dream of. And my wife of 25 years, Deidre, along with the rest of my other families. Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank the supporting team at the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, who always come out and support their minister, and they do it voluntarily. So I'd start with Ms. Shami Farrington, Ms. Donette Williamson, the Undersecretary. On the front row, we have Charlemagne Fernanda, the Director of Social Services, Ms. Leonette Edwards, my Administrative Assistant Consultant, Dr. Deborah Bartlett, Whitney Hannah Williams, who I'm going to report, Lisa Boleg, and Chadwick James, who would be in charge of the men's desk. In the back, we have Basil Johnson, he's the Superintendent of Simpson Penn, and 3 Assistant Directors, Grant, Shallow, and Bethel. I thank them all for their service to the Jesus Ministry and for the work that they continue to do. Madam Speaker, I start with condolences to the family of Philip Ferguson Jr., 30-year-old male who lost his life tragically last week in the Pinewood constituency. I know him. He visited my office a few times. always looking for something to do to better himself and to his family. May his soul rest in peace. Madam Speaker, the theme for the 2025-2026 budget, expanding opportunities island by island, is a national strategy, one that my ministry is fully aligned with. We are literally and intentionally touching lives from all across the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, creating pathways for families to move from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment. Madam Speaker, you may wonder how a ministry such as mine fits into the national agenda of opportunity. Let me be clear. We are not only a part of the vision, we are at the core of it. My ministry may not be considered glamorous or sexy, but we embrace our position as the Jesus ministry. Just as Christ healed the sick, fed the hungry, and lifted the broken, so too do we at Social Services respond to the cry of those who struggle to be heard and are often forgotten. We touch every demographic, from the unborn child to the elderly in their final days and all in between. The work of my portfolio embraces gender equity. We promote inclusion and access for all, especially persons with disabilities. And we also cover the Bahamas as only ZNS can. Madam Speaker, while the expectation is for every cry for help to be assisted, the reality is that every applicant must be assessed and processed according to policy. I maintain that social services is not an entitlement. It is not an extension of national insurance retirement benefit. Rather, it is intended for the poorest of the poor among us. The question may be asked, who are the poorest of the poor, Madam Speaker? They are the ones sleeping on concrete floors while the world scrolls by on their smartphones. They are the mothers boiling water for dinner because there is no food. They are the elderly abandoned by their relatives. They are the disabled left to fend for themselves with no one watching. These are real Bahamian people, and they exist not in theory, but in plain sight. Madam Speaker, to ensure assistance reach the right hand, my ministry uses a rigorous yet fair screening process. Every applicant is assessed through 1, a comprehensive interview, a home visit, and most critically, a proxy means test, an objective tool that evaluates income, assets, living conditions, and household dynamics to determine need. Yes, it may feel like an intrusive process, but it's indeed a necessary process. We are called to be good stewards of the people's money and the resources placed within the respective ministries and departments. I am pleased to report that my portfolio has done that. Our ministry continues to make improvements, streamlining operations, strengthening our digital systems, promoting accountability measures to ensure transparency and fairness. Madam Speaker, the 2025-2026 allocation for the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Head 43 is $19,168,559,000. And the Department of Social Services, Head 44, is some $53,074,475. Madam Speaker, you will note that there is an increase in the Department of Social Services allocation of some $5,065,212. That shows the government's priority, Madam Speaker. I wish to also highlight the fact that we recognize the stemming from the exercise undertaken during the 2024-25 budget, where persons who received assistance during COVID were reassessed. Reassessments are routinely done for all clients, but the department was not up to date, and hence a massive exercise was undertaken. The results revealed that many persons were no longer eligible to continue to receive assistance because their circumstances within their households had improved. For example, the 5 residents of the home who are now gainfully employed, and among them are paying basic bills. They had residual income. Person furloughed during COVID had returned to work. Madam Speaker, when the dynamics of the household sufficiently improves, we cannot provide assistance. As I said earlier, assistance is for the poorest of the poor. As the reassessment progressed, the expenditure for food decreased and the savings were realized. Madam Speaker, this was achieved through diligence and fiscal prudence as we concluded the 2024-25 budget. The savings is being reallocated to assist in other areas of need. Madam Speaker, I turn to the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. The NCPD, subject to the Equalities or Equal Opportunities Act of 2014, has a process that's been ongoing as a result of our island campaigns. We have been to Andros, we've been to Abaco, we've been to Long Island, we've been to Acklands, Crooked Island, and Long Key. And we have held town meetings. Madam Speaker, because we have noticed an increase in our registration of persons with disabilities from 1,500 to some 2,000 and 2,250 as a direct result of these town halls. Madam Speaker, we thank the government for, because of this increase in numbers, the subvention for this department has risen from $267,284 in 2024-2025 to $400,000 for the 2025-26 budget. The additional amount of $137,716 will assist the Commission with the continued expansion of services and programs throughout the country. Madam Speaker, the Commission, as I said, conducted numerous town halls, and these town halls will continue in particular to other islands of the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, the NCPD has launched a much-needed Adults with Disabilities AWD program in September of 2024 at the Flamingo Gardens Community Center. And I notice Lisa Oleg here is the champion of that program, Madam Speaker. The program was so successful that it outgrew that space, and we moved to the newly built Nassau Village Community Center. Due to the demand, as of January 2025, the program now operates 3 days a week. The program concentrates on life skills training, food preparation, independent living, among other areas. Field trips, free transportation, and hot meals are also a part of the program, which continues to delight as well as bring joy and happiness to adults with disabilities, their parents, and other family members. Madam Speaker, the participants of this program would normally be kept at home with their parents or other family members would have to take care of them. This has changed. Instead, these persons are actively engaged, acquiring new skills. Indeed, this is progress, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I wish to announce that the government has requisitioned the purchase of a brand new bus, especially for use in the disabled community. The bus will be properly outfitted to provide access for the disabled community, as its service will be offered free of charge. We are eagerly awaiting the arrival so that it can be commissioned and put to good use by persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, many of our disabled persons have business ideas and are actually engaged in small business operations. They want an opportunity to make a living for themselves. The Small Business Development Center, in partnership with the National Commission with Disabilities and the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, held a workshop session for entrepreneurs with disabilities to provide essential business training and to assist them in applying for grants. Such grants will help them to improve existing business or would provide help with the creation of new businesses. Madam Speaker, I'm advised that some 67 persons signed up for the seminar and approximately 38 graduated, 25 of whom applied for the SBDC grant. We are awaiting announcement of the final selection. Each recipient who qualifies is eligible for up to $10,000 in funding. Are you disabled? Madam Speaker, this is true inclusion. This initiative provides access and equal opportunity. This is empowerment and real progress. Madam Speaker, we will work towards increasing the number of applicants applying for these grants. I have learned that some participants chose not to apply for the grant as they feared the risk of losing their NIB benefits upon application for a business license. We would like to continue discussions with NIB to have an agreement that their benefits would continue for up to 3 years to give the businesses the opportunity to truly become grounded. Madam Speaker, many persons are not aware of the assistance offered by the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. The NCPD provides complementary apparatus like wheelchairs, walkers, canes, rollers, and crutches to residents throughout the Bahamas. Also, access disabled decals for accessible disabled parking to qualifying persons free of charge. And Madam Speaker, I make this cry again, especially for the operating public, whether it be government buildings or private buildings. The space that is allocated for people with disabilities, please leave them for those individuals who are disabled. We see too many times a spot open and Bahamians, able-bodied, would just walk right in and park, not thinking about those where a few steps could make a big difference. And so we continue to implore the Bahamian public to be sympathetic of those who are disabled and to respect those spots that may be empty and allow those people who are in need of them to access them. Madam Speaker, I take this opportunity to reinforce the media campaign to respect these parking areas. Madam Speaker, the properly labeled disabled space is a much-needed support to the individual with mobility. Madam Speaker, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities is also mandated to conduct building accessibility inspectors throughout the country. Hurricane shelter accessibility inspectors have conducted in collaboration with the DRM. It is important to note that the inspectors are called upon to investigate complaints of non-compliance for accessible bathrooms, ramps, proper rails, and other sets as set out in the Persons with Disabilities Act. We encourage members of the public to report infractions when encountered. You may do so at telephone 397-8600. Madam Speaker, the Community Affairs Division, or CAD, is an item in the budget that has been increased from $50,000 to $424 in the 2024-25 budget to $100,000 in the 2025-26 budget, an increase of almost $50,000, Madam Speaker. We have realized our Community Affairs Division with an evidence-based Empowerment Hour program designed for males and females of all ages and disabilities. The CAD collaborated with residents, community leaders, government entities, NGOs, CSOs, the private sectors, and corporate Bahamas to deliver this program. The purpose of this cross-generational program is to eliminate or reduce social ills such as poverty, social isolation, mental illness, and non-communicable diseases. It aims to encourage social and economic empowerment, inclusion, equity, equality, build camaraderie among residents, businesses, and community organizations, and to enhance and develop new skills. Madam Speaker, the Empowerment Hour program was launched at the Flamingo Gardens Family Center, Life Center in September of 2024. Subject matter experts volunteered their time, talents, and treasures over a 12-week period to impart knowledge to male and female participants from ages 5 to 72 years. The second session was held from February to May of 2025. The Empowerment Hour program is backpack ready and can be easily modified, packed, and introduced to any community in the country. It recognizes that while there are some commonalities among communities, there are times when dynamics are different, and therefore the program has to be adjusted to meet the realities within a specific community. Madam Speaker, participants demonstrated newly acquired skills such as American Sign Language, taught by a certified trainer, culinary arts, bread making, cake and cookie baking, food processing, tomato paste making, makeup application, tie-dye, backyard farming, and embroidery and shellcraft. That's right, Bolek? You will note that I previously indicated that the program was cross-generational, and I'm pleased to share that the residents from the Demetrius Senior Citizens Care Center were a part of the program at the Nassau Village Community Center. I wish to thank the management and staff of the home for their dedication and partnership. Members of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities Adult Day Program were also part of our Empowerment Hour program at Flamingo Gardens Family Life Center and Nassau Village Community Center. Our continued collaboration with the Ministry of National Security has led the Empowerment Hour program becoming introduced to the Fox Hill Community Center, will be introduced in September of 2025. Madam Speaker, the partnership forged between the Good News Seventh-day Adventist Church resulted in the use of their auditorium to host our One Have the Power program for 7th and 12th grade male and female scholars. Through engagement in the 12-week program, students were taught skills to help them transition through life challenges to eventually becoming their best selves. 15 youth successfully completed the program on May 2nd, 2025. Madam Speaker, we have heard the responses from our communities, and we continue to collaborate as a ministry to promote stronger families. We believe that stronger families would lead to stronger communities and, by extension, a stronger nation. As we continue to extend our reach in the community, I announced the reopening of the Adastra Gardens Family Life Center later this year. An additional center will also be opened in the Jerome Avenue area to engage residents of Kemp Road and neighboring communities. Madam Speaker, we did not wish to be Nassau-centric, and we recognize that CAD can assist Family Island communities as well. With the support of the administrators and leaders in their respective communities, CAD can design programs specific to your community's needs. Madam Speaker, the increase in allocation to CAD will permit us to extend aspects of our work to some Family Island communities during this fiscal year. We anticipate a warm welcome. Madam Speaker, the Department of Social Services. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting provides holistic social services throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and each department makes every effort to address the social needs as best as possible. Madam Speaker, the Department of Social Services is the largest department with a total of 18 divisions and units. Its work is crucial and extensive. The work is not without its fair share of challenges, from the complexities of the cases to the management of clients' expectations to seeking resolve of a myriad of staff concerns. Some of the staff concerns are legacy matters that have followed into this administration, and resolve has been slow in some cases. The greatest resort of an organization are the human resources, the persons who we depend upon daily to execute efficiently, even in the most dismal of times. This has been the charge of the staff of the Department of Social Services. They are mobilized to man shelter in times of hurricanes and are required to provide intervention during fires, remove children from homes when physically abused or molested, assist patients requiring funding for cancer treatment, hip replacement, eye surgery, or other matters. They have been deemed essential workers during COVID, being called on to provide assistance to furloughed workers and others in the service industry. Yet, Madam Speaker, many have worked for years without being confirmed or without promotion. In case of the work program participants, some retired without even being appointed to the public service. The staff concerns are numerous. Efforts have, however, been made to systematically address them. Madam Speaker, when I assumed the office of Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, staff brought their concerns to my attention, and among them was the payment of an honorarium for their services rendered during COVID as essential workers. Madam Speaker, my team worked assiduously to compile the required information, and once completed, I sought approval for them to receive what they deserve. Madam Speaker, again, I thank the Member of Parliament for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, and the Cabinet for honoring that commitment. Madam Speaker, I'm finally able to say that honorarium payments were dispersed last month, and the remaining payments will follow. With regard to work program workers who eagerly await regularization, the initial numbers at the start of this term was close to 300. Madam Speaker, I am advised that that number has been reduced to less than 100. I think it's 72, of which 60 have been produced, and of the 72, 60 have been completed, and 27 is now at the Public Service Commission. And I'd like to thank the Minister of Labor and her team for the work that they are doing in clearing that backlog. You know, these individuals who are regularized now can obtain loans. Now they qualify for credit in other areas, and it's amazing, Madam Speaker, some of these people have been working for some 20 years in cases at the same salaries, never been able to be promoted. And so it's about time that these individuals get what they are due. And I'm sure it's not only social services, but as the minister responsible for social services, again, I thank the minister for the hard work of herself and her team. Madam Speaker, senior staff of the department are retiring, and there is no substantial succession plan in place as yet. At least we have opted to make strategic re-engagement while we seek to fill the positions of director, senior deputy director, and deputy director. These positions will be advertised to canvass a wider audience. It should be noted that serving officers who meet the criteria for the post will be eligible to apply. Madam Speaker, during this budgetary year, we would also seek to hire some 38 social workers, 10 probation officers, and 25 case aides. The department will also increase hires for the residential care facilities to adequately manage the various shifts and reduce the amount of overtime payments extended during this year's budget period. Madam Speaker, the working conditions in some of the facilities were not conducive for productivity, and we have had repairs done in some centers. Pitt Road is still under repair. The Pitt Road Center has been relocated temporarily to the V.B. Munnings building in Gems Plaza during the second week of May 2025, where they will remain until renovations to the Munnings buildings have been completed. The public should note that the Gems Plaza is the white two-story building at the end of the Pitt Road. If you don't know where the Pitt Road is, welcome to Nassau. That's on Nassau Street. Madam Speaker, the facility is spacious, comfortable, and can accommodate the center's large clientele. You don't know about that, St. Barnabas. You bougie, you went to Life Key Primary. Madam Speaker, all infrastructure is in place, and the staff have been given a brand new computers to facilitate their work. Madam Speaker, the case of the health social workers at Sandilands, the administrators and clerical teams have relocated from the grounds of the Sandilands Rehabilitative Center to Alexander House, and that is on Robinson Road, right next to Montel Heights. I know you don't know where that is either, St. Barnabas. Social workers continue to provide essential clinical social work services to the Ministry of Health mental health team outside the SRC, while providing daily reports to division heads at Alexander House. In our family islands, new office spaces are being sought for Cat Island, Crooked Island, Mangrove Key, and Mayaguana. Most important significant upgrade, Madam Speaker, is being made to the Blue Hill Road headquarters of the Department of Social Services. This new area is set to be commissioned and unveiled to the public on the 20th of June. With the expansion of the headquarters area like the National Parenting Program, the Disability Affairs Unit, and the Disaster Management Unit, and others will be accommodated. It should be noted that the headquarters is now properly equipped to house the department's Emergency Operations Center in times of disaster. When the second phase is completed, we will see the expansion of our Promise Unit and its call center, all intended to complement an updated digital platform for our clients. Madam Speaker, we have listened and we have acted. In this budget, the staff will be afforded customer service training. They will have more options for counseling, thus promoting their mental wellness. We are mindful of the high burnout associated with the job, and we're seeking to take action, Madam Speaker. Representatives of the Social Workers Association met with the leadership of the ministry to not only share their concerns, but to also make suggestions on how those concerns can be addressed. We are engaged and will continue to work together to shift the culture and narrative in the department to one that is modernized with its processing of work, adequately staffed, and equipped with the required resources to increase output and promote greater efficiencies. Opportunities for training of staff will be pursued both locally and abroad, Madam Speaker. We will be requisitioning the services of a competent company to undertake an analysis of the department in various areas, inclusive of its policies and assistance programs. Many of the assistance programs have not been increased in the past 15 years. Madam Speaker, we cannot have a state-of-the-art building and not be able to function at a level and speed required to meet the needs of the poorest among us. This system must be revised. Notwithstanding its challenges, the department has continued to work diligently, even in challenging circumstances, and I commend the staff for their efforts. Madam Speaker, we will make it easier for them to do their jobs. Madam Speaker, 2 years ago, the department requested 21 vehicles to carry out its duties in New Providence and the Family Islands. We are grateful to have received 12 and anticipate receiving the remainder. We have since dispersed our vehicles to North Andros, South Andros, Crooked Island, San Salvador, Cat Island, Exuma, Long Island, and the maintenance crew in Nassau, Bindley Lanes, Children Home, the Child Protection Unit, Nazareth Center, Department of Rehabilitative Welfare Services. Madam Speaker, I now wish to move to the work of the Department of Social Services. Many may not know that there are some 18 divisions, all of which are interconnected in some way. The Community Support Division is perhaps the most familiar to the public, as it provides food, temporary shelter, uniform assistance, burial, housing, which is for rent, and financial assistance for those whose utilities may have been disconnected. Madam Speaker, over the years, females made up the majority of applications for assistance. However, recent observations indicate increases in the number of males requesting assistance, as well as underemployed persons. There are also consistent reports of lack of child maintenance from fathers. While I encourage persons who need help to ask for it, I also encourage fathers to take responsibilities for the support of their children. Usually lack of child support, that financial support, and lack of child involvement go hand in hand. This is another contributing factor to juvenile delinquency. Fathers, you must play a role in your child's development. Therefore, we implore you to take your responsibility seriously. As previously mentioned, the 2025-2026 budget allocated for Head 44, the Department of Social Services, has been increased by over $5 million. From that amount, we will be able to upscale our assistance in temporary shelter program and in other areas. Madam Speaker, the number of persons requesting temporary shelter continue to escalate. We have had to turn away countless individuals and families because there is supply not enough to accommodate them. I therefore appeal to corporate Bahamas and faith-based organizations to make long-term investment in such ventures. While seasonal giveaways and similar goodwill projects are important and greatly appreciated, there should be a focus on sustainable and permanent solutions to address homelessness and housing insecurity. Madam Speaker, plans are still underway to conduct a survey to ascertain the number of homeless persons throughout the Bahamas, the results of which will be shared once obtained. Madam Speaker, in the past, the department required very little of persons accessing temporary shelter, except to prove that they were looking for work. However, changes have been made. This aspect of our work has become more structured and with an assigned shelter manager who engages residents in an array of parental meetings that focus on entrepreneurship, empowering parents to foster self-efficiency and break the cycle of poverty. Madam Speaker, at one point, there were 7 major fires on the island of New Providence, and a number of families were displaced, having lost all of their belongings. Government-operated shelters provided immediate assistance to these families by providing clothing, food vouchers, and other items. Also of note is that the number of children in government-operated shelters increased dramatically within the last year. Our staff established boys and girls clubs to keep the children occupied and expose them to cultural and historical aspects of the Bahamas. We have entered into strategic partnerships with entities to provide the children with diverse cultural experiences. They were able to go on field trips to the National Art Gallery, attend Junior Junkanoo, tour antiquities, monuments, and museums, and visit the Bahamas National Trust Retreat Garden. All these initiatives are building a more supportive and sustainable environment for the residents of Poinciana Inn and empower them to achieve their full potential. Madam Speaker, I turn to the subsistence support for persons contract item. Madam Speaker, I wish to note the increase in this line item from $582,765 in the 2024-2025 budget to $1,582,765 in the 2025-2026 budget. This is a considerable increase of some $1 million. This line item covers every assistance program with the exception of food, uniform, and any other individually listed in the department budget. The increase will permit us to provide more help to persons seeking medical assistance. We have seen the request for medical assistance steadily increase, Madam Speaker. The department also provides assistance with diagnostic tests as well as with travel for medical attention. Madam Speaker, I previously noted that many of the department's assistance programs have not been increased in over 15 years, with the exception of food. We see that the rental assistance of $1,200 per fiscal year is considerably low in a competitive real estate market. We will consider an increase in this area as well as a few other critical areas. Madam Speaker, grants to charitable organizations. The grants to charitable organizations line item has an increase from $861,300 in the 2024-2025 budget to $986,300 in the 2025-2026 budget. This increase is specifically for the Persis Rogers Home for the Aged and Abilities Unlimited. Persis Rogers Home will receive a 100% increase from an existing grant of $50,000 to $100,000. Additionally, in the 2025-2026 budget, Abilities Unlimited will obtain a 300% increase from $25,000 to $100,000. Madam Speaker, both of these agencies provide quality work to our elderly and those with disabilities, and they have been lobbying for quite a while, and those increases would be welcome, but they are well earned. Those agencies have, as I said, contributed to the care for our elderly in our country. And I also invite corporate Bahamas to join the effort in taking care of those individuals in the twilight years. Madam Speaker, the foster care program also received an increase from some $655,150 in the previous budget to $698,350, Madam Speaker, an increase of some $43,200. These funds are earmarked for stipend payments to child care assistants who are required to monitor the care of foster children and to ensure that these children are actually benefiting from the allowance paid to foster parents on their behalf. Madam Speaker, the Family Island Division. Madam Speaker, Family Island officers have been consistently asking for vehicles and cellular phones to assist in the execution of their duties. I am happy to report that both have been provided. In addition, officers who have oversight of the various districts have been required to travel regularly to monitor their assigned islands. During these visits, they identify needs and review program policies to ensure that each office is operating within department guidelines. Concerns are also brought to the administrator's attention to be addressed. As advocates, they ensure that the staff of the Family Islands do not feel isolated and left out. Madam Speaker, as we look at the Northern Bahamas office continued to provide assistance to that segment of the population. We have also included them in the plans for increased resources. The Department of Rehabilitative Welfare Services has secured a new vehicle to carry out its duties more effectively. Madam Speaker, Columbus House and Pace are now ready for occupancy, but we are still awaiting the signing of the management agreement, which we anticipate will be shortly completed. Madam Speaker, the temporary shelter facility in Grand Bahama. The department will introduce its first ever government-operated shelter in 8 Mile Rock, Grand Bahama. This facility includes 10 units with an enclosed, safe environment. The facility is currently being renovated, and we expect it to be operational early in the upcoming fiscal year. Madam Speaker, the Grand Bahama community is being restored to its once grand status. More persons have returned to work since the downturn in the economy in Grand Bahama, which resulted from Hurricane Dorian and COVID-19 pandemic. The positive shift is due largely in part to job opportunities available on Celebration Key, which the community is taking full advantage of. Persons are becoming more financially stable, hence they no longer qualify for many of the department's programs. Madam Speaker, additionally, many of the persons who left the island of Grand Bahama, there's evidence that they are now returning to Grand Bahama because of work opportunities This is truly good news, and this will help grow the economy of Grand Bahama. Madam Speaker, on human resources, according to our records, a high number of technical and support staff are currently enrolled in higher education courses locally and online. I am pleased to announce that the enrollment of online courses and degree courses, especially prevalent among officers stationed in the Family Islands. The government of the Bahamas successfully launched the Oracle Fusion Human Resources Management and Payroll System on the 24th of February this year, designed to streamline human resources processes and improve efficiency. All senior human resources officers in New Providence have received training on the use of Oracle, and Family Island staff and junior staff in New Providence are expected to begin training on the use of the system in the very near future. Madam Speaker, it is with heavy heart that I report to the House the recent referrals to this division indicate that there have been an increase in juvenile delinquency. Reports have been received involving serious behavioral issues related to lack of respect for authority. Parent involvement in this instance is key to preventing or curbing this behavior. In some cases, when the parent has been unsuccessful, he or she turns to the department for help. Once assessment has been completed, the juvenile is referred to the appropriate program. Madam Speaker, the National Parenting Program continues to work closely with the courts and with the community to help parents to enhance parenting skills. The first in a series of quarterly walkabouts was held in Nassau Village and Fort Charlotte communities where flyers were distributed. The walkabouts were to make the community more aware of the services and programs that are offered. These programs are not limited to parenting, but include anger management and others. As a result of this new initiative, it is expected that there will be an increase in the number of persons requesting services. Madam Speaker, the William Pratt Center for Girls. The doctor's office, as well as cottages 1 and 2 at William Pratt Center for Girls, have been completed. We are thankful that the residents can now be seen on the outside by a physician. The staff of the center received training in the United Nations Nelson Mandela prison rules, which is utilized effectively in most correctional facilities worldwide. This strategy outlined minimum confinement conditions, provide guidance, and sets clear benchmark for staff on how to uphold safety, security, and human dignity. Madam Speaker, we ensure that all residents continue their education while at the center. I am proud to announce that 5 residents of the center passed 5 BGCSE subjects with C and above. 6 residents passed more than 5 BJC subjects with C and above, and 2 residents who are academically challenged were enrolled into BTVI Institute to learn a trade. And now, Madam Speaker, for the best success story of them all, one of the residents moved directly from the center and was enrolled into Snow College in Ephraim, Utah, where she is majoring in biochemistry. We wish all of the residents success in their academic ventures. They are proof that even with a rough start, finishing well is possible. Madam Speaker, I echo the sentiments made earlier by the member for Angliston, and that is, we cannot give up on our children. And some of their positions is not solely on their own, but the environment that they grow up in. And these 2 institutions, William A. Pratt and Simpson Penn, are proof once given the tools and given the support, these kids can thrive and become productive citizens, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I turn now to Simpson Penn Center for Boys. Simpson Penn has also seen upgrades to the center. The center has established its first computer lab, which is a significant milestone for the institution. It represents an important step toward integrating technology into the educational environment and preparing residents for the digital future. Residents have demonstrated remarkable progress in overcoming past challenges and reintegrating successfully into society. They participated in the job training program at the National Training Agency and secured full-time employment. The Creative Art Program provided several residents of the Simpson Penn Center for Boys with the opportunity to discover the power of art as a form of self-expression. Under the guidance of skilled mentors, the boys created mural arts that were featured in a special exhibition at Arawak Key. They also participated in a unique project where they painted the Port Authority development trailers. These vibrant designs now serve as a visible reminder of the potential for change. Yes. The boys successfully completed BJC and BGCSE subjects, receiving grades ranging from A to C. Additionally, the boys earned barbering certification from BTVI, further enhancing skills for future career and opportunities. Yes. Madam Speaker, structural upgrades continues at the facility. Renovations were completed to Cottage 1 at the school, and roof repairs were completed on Cottage 3. The security booth at the entrance of the center were also received construction upgrades. Additionally, the road on the property was newly paved with asphalt after years of falling into disrepair. Madam Speaker, there are a total of 23 residents at the center, and I'm pleased to report that no residents absconded in 2024, nor have any been made in 2025. Again, I'd like to commend Superintendent Johnson and his team for the work that they continue to carry out. I noticed that Ms. Moni Greenslade, the superintendent at William A. Pratt, is now in the audience. And I would like to also thank her for the facility that she runs there and the work and the passion that she exhibits. And unlike Johnson, who may call me once in a while, I will hear from the superintendent every other week. And it's usually about not things for her, but for resources or for staff to make her work easier, but also to the cater that the girls under their care. And so this is just not a penal institution. I could tell you things like going to the church on Sundays and to other events. Both of those leaders of those institutions should be commended because they provide not only the stick, but the carrot to these kids. Madam Speaker, the Child Protection Unit. Child Protection continues to report the highest number of abuse cases that involves neglect based on the lack of parental supervision, which is a contributing factor to juvenile delinquency. To all those who have been observing this, note the correlation between the lack of parental involvement and the lack of supervision to the Department of Rehabilitative Welfare Services. There have been an increase. Each factor appears to be linked to other negative outcomes, Madam Speaker. The most alarming revelation coming out of this unit is reports of an increase in the number of commercial sexual exploitation, where mothers arrange transactional sex between their daughters and adult males in exchange for payments of household bills. These girls are between the ages of 14 and 16, Madam Speaker. We are destroying, their lives are being destroyed before they begin to live them. While the age of consent is 16, using a minor for sexual gratification of an adult constitutes prostitution and rape, which are criminal offenses and should be reported to the police. Madam Speaker, this practice also contributes to juvenile delinquency. Rather than safeguarding our children, it assigns a price to their lives, reducing a precious child to a mere transaction, exchanging a small sum of money for their dignity. The resulting trauma is profound, with long-lasting emotional and psychological consequences. I therefore urge anyone who is aware of this heartbreaking reality or suspects a case of child abuse to contact the hotline at 711. Madam Speaker, trained professionals are available around the clock to provide assistance. Madam Speaker, the Domestic Violence Unit. Referrals continue to be received from persons fleeing from domestic violence situations, underscoring the need for shelters. Victims have been provided with temporary shelter in the department's facility, which Council was also able to increase its support to more than 30 women volunteers. This is remarkable given that this council is a non-paying body, Madam Speaker. NWC immediately got work with its stakeholders, participating in a number of initiatives, including but not limited to working with Women United to host a national intercessory prayer conference dubbed When Women Pray. Collaboration between the Rotary Club of East Nassau with its Developing Sustainable Agriculture for Women program, STRAW, Inc., Girls Empowerment Programs, Saunter Clubs, Bahamas Crisis Center, and a recent visit to the Ponciana Temporary Shelter, where we celebrated Mother's Day with the women and their children. Most notably was the establishment of the annual National Women's Symposium, which saw the attendance of more than 700 to 1,000 participants and 40 exhibitions throughout the day session. The event in particular featured special educational forum on the recently passed Protection Against Violence Act 2023. Stakeholder, visitors, and survivors gave candid and frank discussions and put forward workable solutions to the problems facing our women. The platform recognized the pioneer work of Dr. Sandra Dean Patterson and Mrs. Cora Bain Colbrook, in addition to the work of some past chairpersons and National Women's Advisory Council. Madam Speaker, we have paid attention to recommendations listed in the 2015 National Gender-Based Violence Strategy by the National Gender-Based Task Force. Our interventions have included the following: creation of a unified family court, national community awareness programs, creation of Department of Gender and Family Affairs, male mentoring programs, and setting up family island coordination councils. Madam Speaker, the Department of Gender and Family Affairs continue to work with civil society. The department also continue to provide grants to our partners, including FOAM, SeaWill, Saunter Club of Nassau, Saunter Club of New Providence, Bahamas Crisis Center, Straw Inc., Princess Court, among others. Civil society is regularly engaged, and the department continues to host quarterly hearings and debriefing meetings with non-governmental organizations. Madam Speaker, the government of the Bahamas is committing to building strong families. We are aware that the dysfunctional families and absentee parents are not good for nation building. Families face challenges. However, despite today's challenges and adversities, we must continue to provide and equip parents with the tools and skills to produce healthy and functional families. We recognize that family can be by birth and by love. Therefore, we continue to work with the Bahamas Christian Council to develop and design programs to promote strong and healthy families in our country. This, we feel, is essential to key nation building. Madam Speaker, I now turn my attention to Bahamas Information Services. Madam Speaker, in the 2025-26 budget, some $2,649,459, an increase of some $28,000 were appropriated. Of that amount, matters dealt with were allocated for salaries, wages, which represent 92 of the department's annual budget. The balance of the budget is distributed to cover allowances, travel, subsistence, supplies, materials, services, and minor capital repairs. Madam Speaker, with regards to new products and services, our new and improved website will be unveiled on June 2nd. Madam Speaker, during the mid-year budget, I reported to the Honorable House that BIS was undergoing a restructuring and reorganization exercise to reposition the department to better meet the communication needs of a 21st century Bahamas. I am happy to report that the restructuring exercise has been completed and a final report will be on my desk very short for cabinet consideration. Madam Speaker, the Broadcast Corporation of the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, the corporation's allocation in the 2024-25 budget was $10,279,999. This remains the same for 2025-2026. Madam Speaker, ZNS has reclaimed its position as a leader in news and information and has continued to revolutionize the sector by pioneering new missions and pursuing a new mandate. The government during the previous budget year spent a considerable amount of money to restore the national broadcast station to a position where it consistently delivers a superior product for the Bahamian people. From the transformation in news to local programming, to the extended collaboration efforts in radio, the nation is now even more convinced that only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. The refreshing new and experienced talent combined with new technology has literally transitioned the corporation to new dimensions. And Madam Speaker, I'd like to commend the General Manager, Mr. Clint Watson, his deputy in Grand Bahama and support team there, Allison Smith and Shashina Farquharson, Darren Meadows, the executive chairman of the board, Mr. Picel Forbes, and his board for the work that they are doing in not only the training programs that are going on, but you're seeing a physical transformation. And for those in Grand Bahama who I've spoke to on this topic, that we would expect that before this fiscal year ends, that the government is going to purchase a facility in Grand Bahama for the new location of ZNS that will also be renovated. And, there have been between West Grand Bahama and Bimini and the minister from Pine Ridge, she have raised concerns about the well-being of staff members who have complained about various issues. The ZNS had to relocate for a certain time so some remediation efforts could be done. And so the government has made a decision, the board has already approved the sale. And so ZNS will be moving into a renovated structure that will be a part of the Renaissance in Grand Bahama per se. Madam Speaker, we are giving the necessary attention to these issues. Rather than kicking the can down the street, we are facing the enormous challenges and coming with the best ways to solve them. For some time now, we knew that the master controls in ZNS was basically there was a patchwork that's being done there. And so the government is seeking to purchase a new master control system, and that cost would be at some $750,000. But it is necessary not only for ZNS to compete, but for ZNS to thrive. And you keep on hearing these stories, and we know in the House of Assembly sometimes transmission is left because patch meal efforts are being made. And I commend the technical people who have managed to keep us on air. But the time has come for us to bring in new equipment. And other equipment have been purchased over the past year. But dealing with this one piece of equipment that is so vital for the transmission, and I think sometimes we take for granted that while we have variety here in New Providence, we have an audience, especially in those remote family islands, who depend on ZNS radio and television for their information and for their entertainment. And the government and the board and executive of the BCB is doing their endeavor best to not only provide upgrading of staff skills, but also in providing an upgrade in equipment. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting decided to tell its story. Every section has galvanized and will be featured. Staff has consistently worked over the years without public being fully aware of the scope and the nature of their work. We have tested and branded segments for immediate response radio show with host Spence Finlayson. The public is able to tune in every Monday at 10 a.m. to noon to In the Trenches with the Ministry of Social Services. We share relevant information and showcase our partners. The show has been well received and will continue. Madam Speaker, we also launched the Taking Social Services to the People program on ZNS television on Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Oftentimes, people feel that we cannot relate to their circumstances, but we do empathize and would like to provide assistance where possible. Stay tuned as you will see more boots on the ground, not only in New Providence, but throughout the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, and with regards to this, I must pause here to recognize the stellar work of Dr. Deborah Bartlett and her team, who makes it look so easy. So thank you, Deborah. In closing, Madam Speaker, I'd also like to mention a lady who is known very well to at least one of us in this place, and that is Miss Marion Bethel, for the work she do at CDOR. And she's up for a particular position. I have every confidence that she'll be voted in there, but she is a fierce advocate for not only women's right at the denigration of men, but she rightfully puts that she's not afraid to speak truth to power. And that is, while we as men have become so comfortable with the status quo, She's not afraid to challenge the status quo, and I think that she should be commended for the work that she's done. She's well respected. When you go to the UN or other UN agencies, she's known there by name. And so I just want to thank her for the work that she has done. Madam Speaker, the 2025-2026 budget should represent hope for the vulnerable throughout our society. It is not Nassau-centric and will touch the communities throughout the archipelago. Social services is the heartbeat of the nation. Our pulse is gaining strength, and as we go throughout the Bahamas, we move from strength to strength. Madam Speaker, I thank the staff, the management and teams of the various agencies of the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting for their work. Pinewood is honored to support this 2025-2026 budget. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member Asmini.
Hey, where you just show up? I didn't want to switch up because I see nobody else. Yeah. As many? The chair recognizes the honorable member for Yamakoro. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I know that this is the budget debate, and since there'll be two persons who would serve to give address from Cabinet for the same ministry, I don't think that I would need to be long. I got that from both sides. However, Mr. Deputy, the temperature of the room would, of course, dictate the length of the address. Mr. Deputy, before I begin my contribution, allow me to graciously thank the people of Yamakoro. The good people of Yamakoro constituency have seen it fit to elect me to this honorable house as their representative. I further extend my gratitude to the hard-working officers of the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, led by the Honorable Vaughan Miller, Member of Parliament for Golden Isles. Madam Speaker, Mr. Deputy, overall, I would not be here without the grace of God. None of us would be. He has blessed me with a beautiful family that supports me and I them, including my wife Candace, my children, my dad, Jack Lightbourne, who I know is listening, all of my siblings, my aunts, uncles, and cousins, my in-laws, and extended family. I have a great team standing beside me in Yamakoro, supported by an awesome office staff and many supporters, some who have been lifelong friends. Mr. Deputy, I would ask your indulgence as I shift my address to probably indicate some of our accomplishments in the constituency first, because I was awaiting until we had more members of the opposition in the seats. However, I would say that the Bahamian people chose well. In September 2021, as we all remember, they chose the leadership of a successful Bahamian from the soil with humble beginnings, with a heart of gold, and as compassionate and as down to earth as they come. A self-made success story in law and in politics, and now leader of the greatest little country on earth, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis. They chose an administration that is not just talented, they're smart and hardworking, bold like the leader, and a passion and heart for people. The budget each year reflects this reality, and no matter the naysayers, this country is here as an envy of the region because we've been working hard to bring it back. We realize that we cannot change the opposition's mindset easily as we do work. As we do work, we know they talk. It amazes me that they have said every budget debate that we are not doing well. It amazes me that they say every budget debate we're not doing well. Then they point to a number of our completed initiatives and try to take credit saying that they started them. They are obviously not finishers, either because the little that they try to do, they could not finish, or because they just don't know how to finish. Yes, we've rescued the economy. We've rescued their projects. We've created and completed many of our own projects, and we are tackling big legacy issues for the years that they have been neglected. Mr. Deputy, I will highlight some of these accomplishments, but please allow me to firstly, like I say, highlight some accomplishments in my constituency, as I know Yamakra is listening. I began my tenure as the Minister of State for Education and had the honor of serving under the incomparable and dynamic Glenys Anna Martin, the MP for Angliston. As a former educator, I implemented in the constituency a student help center, which has since evolved because we opened an urban renewal center, and we turned it into an afternoon care center for school children, also teaching skills like craft and sewing. And children through this new urban renewal office, which is located in the Elizabeth Estates, have opportunities for after-school care. I commend the Prime Minister and also the Minister and Minister of State for Housing and Urban Renewal for supporting this vision of placing an urban renewal center in the Elizabeth Estates, and the people of the Eastern community is very pleased with it. The center does not only cater to children, but also the elderly, especially on Fridays where they have exercise classes. I have partnered with the Center for Free Breakfast for Thelma Gibson students, and also the Member of Parliament for Elizabeth has done the same because we share that boundary. We are elated to know that the breakfast program is now expanding to all schools, Mr. Deputy. This is important because we know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and our students show up and perform when they know they can get a belly full, or when they have a belly full. Which means, with this new initiative, or with the initiative being expanded, children will have breakfast every day. Mr. Deputy, safety and cleanliness are matters of concern at the forefront of Yamakra, and so we have embarked on regular cleaning down of derelict properties, which serves the dual purpose of eliminating hiding places for would-be criminals and keeping our neighborhoods clean from indiscriminate dumping, which is not only an eyesore, but it promotes health dangers, including nesting for rats and mosquitoes. Mr. Deputy, after noting the success of numerous bin drops, I sought to partner with the Department of Environment to have bins permanently placed in a central area in the community for dumping of unwanted household items and basic yard trash. This initiative has been a tremendous success, and we have seen less dumping on vacant properties and less rodents, which of course is complemented by the treatment in the area for both mosquitoes and rodents. We are seeking the residents to help us continue to enhance the safety of the East by keeping our dogs contained, as this is a major concern, in accordance with the law, and report loose and stray dogs to animal control at the Ministry of Agriculture, as they also interfere and are a danger to pedestrians, including walkers and joggers. Mr. Deputy, we are doing our part to promote agriculture and food security and healthy eating by hosting our bi-weekly or every 2 weeks farmers and craft market. The market is noted to be intended to continue in its growth, to be the choice out east, where Bahamian vendors can sell Bahamian-made products, including produce, sauces, juices. We have eggs and fish and seafood and fresh organic chicken, baked goods, so on and so forth, and grilled food and breakfast, which are done by our seniors. Mr. Deputy, for the hot summer months, we are now exploring the overnight farmers market or the evening and night farmers market, which should cause for more supporters for our vendors, more support for our vendors, because the days are extremely hot. At this market, we have also decided to add some entertainment like a DJ, host a kiddie area so that children can play, and a corner for them so that the adults can hang out and play dominoes or do whatever they want to do whilst children play in either the bouncing castle or use the park. Additionally, while awaiting a list to get on the list or to come up the list of streets to be paved, because we have seen where we're on the list, we are doing more patching of potholes, drainage clearing that's on schedule, and we have active tree trimming in the area. We trim trees where possible, where they're interfering with roofs and also visibility in the area. Recently, after packing to maintain some of our park spaces, we were able to secure a few partnerships to restore a boardwalk on Colony Park, replace swings, and clear the pond to create a nice wildlife ecosystem that was there in the past. We have painted Bahamian flags on all our parks, installing Wi-Fi and lighting on 3 areas, and installed the infrastructure for Wi-Fi on the remainder of the parks, installing speed bump sidewalks, improving lighting, and these things were tremendously lacking when we came into office. The feedback from the constituency is that it's much cleaner, and we intend to make the rest of our parks better and more usable. We have replaced the lighting of the basketball court at the police station with brighter LED bulbs, where we hold our annual basketball tournament, and cleared the library parking lot from trees, from being a visible hindrance in that area. Our recent job fair in partnership with the Department of Labor saw hundreds of participants that found jobs, in some cases on the spot. We host monthly branch meetings at Thelma Gibson School, and we want to invite everyone to come because it's for everyone. We also host small meetings on parks where possible, including our weekly office meetings. And I'd like to announce that the office in Yamoussoukro is open 10 to 6 every day, and we are presently renovating an additional office space near Commonwealth Boulevard in Elizabeth Estates to serve residents of Elizabeth Estates. For a long time, we were seeking to have the right location on the main road, especially after moving the office central to the constituency and after an unfortunate incident at a previous location just before I came into office. Mr. Deputy, the people of Yamoussoukro have taken this journey with us through 3 years of budgets, and an overwhelming number of them, including many Bahamians I know, have hailed our remarkable progress in handling the economy and bringing the Bahamas back from a fiscal cliff. Mr. Deputy, while we can boast of accomplishments in our constituencies and in this country, there is still so much to do. Our leader reminds us of the importance of reaching people door to door while carrying out our legislative and ministerial duties, and we have been seeking to do that effectively. Mr. Deputy, this budget seeks and speaks to the heart of Bahamian people. And it's been consistent these past 3 years. It's been so consistent it's now considered a habit. We push the boundaries, we keep our hands to the wheel, and we continue to work knowing that we are called to shape a new bright future for the Bahamian people. In my opinion, and in the opinion of many, the greatest indicator of a thriving country is the management of its economy and the ability to provide opportunity for people, young and old. Right-thinking Bahamians have looked at this budget and saw that it expands opportunities for every Bahamian, from education to entrepreneurs, and from Cat Island to Freeport, airports, hospitals, clinics, roads, just a few of the many items that you can see infrastructurally, and Bahamians like to see, feel, and touch, so we are bringing those to them. People and places that have long been left out are the main focus of an administration that have been working for the Bahamian people from day one. Mr. Deputy, I turn my attention to matters pertaining to the Department of Environment and Health, of Environmental Health Services, which is part of the remit of this ministry. As I said, the minister will come and give more details on each area as the senior minister in the ministry, so my time would be short. I repeat, it is incumbent upon all Bahamians and residents of Bahamas to keep our country clean, beautiful, peaceful, and progressive. The task has gotten harder, often over the last few years, as the population has grown and the number of visitors to our shores has increased tremendously, thanks to the Ministry of Tourism. And I know that we have the capability to help keep our country clean. As Minister of State for the Environment, I'm proud to have played some part in the safeguarding of our reputation as a slice of paradise. Few things destroy the vision of paradise, like streets strewn with garbage and derelict vehicles, and I encourage residents to report and to take part in reversing this unhealthy trend. Mr. Deputy, I don't know where the derelict vehicles are coming from, but I know that every time we clear spaces in the community, being done, people put the vehicles back. Golden Gates, multiple times, same area, Nassau Village, and we continue to fight this trend. So we're asking people, if I can permit me to throw this number, 302-5240, for all Bahamians watching, 302-5240. Report derelict vehicles, the dumping of garbage, and anything unsightly you see that would come under the ministry. Because what we find have to be done as we have persons fighting against us, we have to continue to fight for the Bahamas and for our Bahamian people. So as they put them there, we're going to move them, and we're going to be tenacious, and they're not going to outpace or outlast us. Until we find a permanent solution, I ask the public's help to help us fight this vexing trend. I've spoken to in this Honorable House many times on the subject of derelict vehicles, and it is important to remind everyone that this cascading problem is seeing some success, but these vehicles are also sites for illegal activity, garbage dumping, and breeding area for rodents. More critically, the hazardous fluids like oil, brake fluid, and gasoline sometimes seep into our ground, polluting our soil, our groundwater, waterways, and proper removal and disposal is necessary when it comes to this. So you find that this is urgent because it's a health hazard. Thank you. So, Mr. Deputy, I'm pleased to report that a significant number of derelict vehicles have been removed from communities, and over the first quarter of 2025 alone, we have moved 1,120 in the first quarter, abandoned vehicles. At that rate, if it continues, the DHS is likely to remove some 5,000 vehicles this year, which will represent a 60% increase over 2024. The constituencies with significant vehicle removals, I've mentioned a few, but that's also to include Freetown, Golden Isles, and even in Yamakro and Elizabeth, we have seen the same trends. Our goal is to expand the derelict vehicle removal program to the family islands, because even in the family islands, some that have golf carts, we've seen an accumulation of derelict golf carts and vehicles. Land has been identified in the southwest quadrant of New Providence, specifically off Gladstone Road, aimed at removing roadside garages and derelict vehicles and end-of-life vehicle operations. There are some names that are popular, but I'll refrain from putting them in here, and we are asking for them to participate with us and cooperate with us in removing roadside garages from communities, and also for neighbors to support the pop-up of roadside garages, so anything look like it's going to develop into a roadside garage. It is anticipated that we have the necessary support for this initiative, because this is something that we will continue to fight. The Department of Environmental Plant Protection has provided specifications to make this initiative a reality, thereby ensuring that the activities in the identified areas does not compromise the wetlands, is away from housing also, and subdivisions, and avoids potential accidents. It is intended that land being used for the existing operations be converted into open green spaces instead of being utilized for other reasons. This requires discussions from the operators and landowners. Additionally, there's need to quantify costs and the like. Further, the Ministry of Works, which has responsibility for roadside garages, is meeting with all other relevant stakeholders looking at relevant amendments to our current legislation. Mr. Deputy, the DHS is mandated to ensure the timely collection of residential waste, bulk waste, and other waste that is deemed a nuisance. Currently, there are 66 residential waste contractors and approximately 150 bulk waste removal contractors. As was said previously, with the amount of contractors for residential garbage and bulk waste collection in New Providence, one would expect the island to be spick and span. As this is not the case, steps are being taken to reorganize and the management of this activity so that the value is received for money spent. And I take this time also, Mr. Deputy, just to say that our persons who benefit from contractual arrangements with the government and keeping areas clean through the bulk waste program and through residential collection, you can't say that you are in support of the government when you know that doing your job haphazardly or halfway causes the government to look bad. And so I appeal to persons who do have this responsibility to understand that it's not just necessary for us to do this properly because of the way it looks, but it's a health requirement. The department remains responsive to the community concerns so far. For 2025, DHS has acted on 56 complaints related to debris removal across New Providence. Notably, the highest volume of complaints come from Bain and Grantstown, followed by Golden Isles, in addition to Bambutown, Angliston, Kalani, and we encourage these persons to continue complaining, making the complaints, so that we can act on them. On average, the department spends approximately $3,000 per property to be cleaned. This clearly demonstrates the demand and the need. Mr. Deputy, during the mid-term budget debate, I outlined the need for temporary transfer stations throughout New Providence to curb indiscriminate dumping. I am pleased to report that this initiative has been resounding as a success. To date, DHS has established 6 temporary transfer stations in New Providence. This includes Centerville, South Beach Pools entrance, Coral Harbor, All Saints Way, Gladstone Road, and Yamakro Hill Road. These stations serve residential users exclusively, while commercial haulers continue to use the New Providence Ecology Park or the dump site for disposal of debris. When the program began in 2024, we were emptying a single 30-yard container per day. In Yamakro and South Beach, we are emptying 3 bins per day now, amounting to approximately 3,780 cubic yards per week, or 16,200 cubic yards per month. That's of trash alone. This is significant, especially if we can tout it as a victory in our efforts to eliminate community dumping and foster cleaner, safer neighborhoods. We are now exploring the expansion of this program into other communities in New Providence, such as Bain and Grandstand and Angliston, as well as the Family Islands. There will be need to hold community town meetings to determine the best location to place such large bins. And let me say right here, Mr. Deputy, that the bins that we place in communities are not meant to take industrial waste. But what happens is persons often cut yards or they clean up people's yards, and instead of driving, if they're in the east, fighting traffic to drive all the way to the Ecology Park and Hall Road, they find the nearest vacant lot and dump trash. And then the MPs get blamed for it. And this is a repetitive issue that we are fighting, and we are asking for persons now to look for the transfer station that we are calling it, where there's a dumpster in your area, because we're going to expand that program. So, and we've seen a tremendous success. We're seeing less garbage in derelict properties or vacant lots, and we're seeing a less proliferation of rodents. So we're asking persons to continue to dump. We're not going to complain that you're filling the bins too quick, because obviously if it's things to throw away, we'd rather you throw it in the bin. We know that the action we take or do not take have consequences, and any rubbish or waste can harbor vermin, fuel hazards, and the like. The summer rainy season is fast approaching, and the work of vector control remains critical. Surveillance and treatment continue across our Family Islands and throughout New Providence. We have intensified our focus on the downtown and foreshore areas, including Awa Key, Junkanoo Beach, Pompey Square, the Straw Market, Rawson Square, Porterski Dock, and Montague Foreshore, to protect against rodents and mosquito-borne diseases that threaten our residents and our tourists. Additionally, we increase fogging in areas that are swampy or near the coastline. A number of government offices have also been treated for rodent and roach infestation. In addition, the public is encouraged to visit the DHS between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. daily to collect rat bait, free of charge, to assist with community-level rodent control, and they will train you on how to use it. We are also treating imported tires at the time of site inspection and while in containers to prevent the introduction of Aedes aegypti mosquito, also a known vector for dengue and other diseases. Importantly, in March of this year, some 30 DHS officers, including health inspectors, vector control officers, and laboratory staff, participated in a one-week insecticide resistance survey training hosted by the Caribbean Public Health Agency, or CARPHA. Vector control officers from Andros, Grand Bahama, Bimini, and Cat Island participated in the training, along with their New Providence counterparts. Internal training programs aimed at raising awareness and building technical capacity among staff has also been implemented. We are also preparing for the upcoming rainy season through the maintenance of our ULV fogging machines. The procurement of some 10 new fogging machines have been sourced, including insecticides. Mr. Deputy, in the early part of 2025, the department assisted the surveillance unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness by responding to untreating areas in New Providence in relation to 2 potential vector-borne disease cases. These cases, both involving male patients, were suspected to be malaria and some other form of infection. This reinforces the critical importance of our proactive vector control program and the need for continued collaboration between agencies in safeguarding public health. Mr. Deputy, I'm proud to share that the department's digital transformation unit is nearing completion of an online application and payment system for ship sanitation inspections and an online application for derelict vehicle removal. This platform, set for implementation during the 2025-26 fiscal year, will enhance accountability and revenue collection while improving the customer experience. Funding is being allocated to support partnerships with non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, and corporate Bahamas in organizing community cleanup efforts. During the first quarter of this year, the department partnered with 25 NGOs, each contributing to the upkeep and beautification of our communities. Mr. Deputy, the work of the DEHS is integral to building cleaner, safer, and healthier communities. We continue to pursue innovation, accountability, and partnerships as we address many environmental challenges facing our nation. I am confident with continued support from this honorable House and our leader and the public, we will meet these challenges head on and deliver results as we have been doing. The Bahamian people will be grateful to us for it. Mr. Deputy, the scripture tells us in Proverbs 29 and 2 that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Amen. But when the wicked bereave rule, the people mourn.
I was mourning in 2017.
Mr. Deputy, I adopt these words into my speech because while not everyone will always be happy, we are confident that the vast majority of Bahamians have shown tremendous satisfaction in our handling of governance, especially when compared to what they have had in the past.
All right.
I like our former Prime Minister, as a person, but boy, when he ruled, there was plenty mourning. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Deputy. We acknowledge that the progress isn't quite felt by all, and for some, the frustration is real. That is why we are increasing our reach across communities.
Yes.
However, Mr. Deputy, I've noticed that no matter our accomplishments, the opposition complains the most. They complain, they oppose, and then they still end up supporting our bills. All of a sudden, it's never enough, and we can do better. They can do better than us. So I'm trying to figure out where this playlist came from, because we've been complaining of this from day one. We say, why they're opposing everything we do? It's never enough. Mr. Deputy, the naysayers of the opposition have been consistent, if nothing else.
Yes.
I spoke about doom and gloom every time they come, doom and gloom,
Every time.
and all the negativity that comes. And we have said before that it seemed to be a reading from the same script.
Same script. Someone wrote.
Just bashing and opposing for opposition's sake. We're the opposition, so we can bash and oppose, and oppose and oppose, and oppose and bash, disrupt the House, and then say we had a good day.
Wow.
So while they do that, we work
Yes.
and we progress. Mr. Deputy, this consistent behavior seemed a bit too scripted. Because even when they knew they were wrong, they were strong. Things that we would have put to rest from the seat of the Speaker of the House, they brought back up as if it wasn't settled on the record.
Wow.
Relentless in this behavior. The script seemed too scripted.
Yep.
I said to myself, by George, this must have been...
What's your middle name? George?
No, I said this to George. I said this must have been a script from the start, because we noticed it, but we couldn't put our fingers on it. Something was right.
Yeah.
Mr. Deputy, and then I stumbled upon a script. Rather yet, a script stumbled upon me. And I noted some quotes from this particular article, and the Honorable Prime Minister alluded to it, and it was shocking. I could not believe my ears.
Wow. Let me hear.
Because I said, that's the script.
Let me hear this.
And then the honorable member from Angleton read some excerpts from the script, and I say, that's the script. And then when the script stumbled upon me, I said, let me read some excerpts from the script. Because maybe they on this script. They on this particular script. And listen, I cannot read. I mean, someone described it as the gift that keeps giving. Because you can read a portion and bring it, and then for the next 10 years, you could read a portion and bring it because it's a lot to read. It's an easy read, but there's a lot. And it comes from someone who purports to be an expert in politics. Page 10 of this script, item 6, tells the politician, say, talking nonstop on issues about which little care talking nonstop on issues about which mean little and care even, on which you mean little or care even less.
Read the script properly, man.
Page. All right, let me go.
Go to the script, man.
Let me go to the script.
Verbatim.
Let me go to the script. Verbatim. I got it. I have it. So this script says things like, who to attack with rumors? And the answer is, attack anyone.
What?
And the script that they were doing is, attack your opponent. This is a quote. Attack your opponent. Remember, you simply want to win. Actually, you need to win. Do not let a small word like ethics interfere with your mission. Say, think about the bigger picture. $90,000 plus a year. Page 49 of the script. It's a script. Yeah, a script is a book. Says, attack the wife or children of your opponent. You think that's low? You need to read the book. On page 81 of this, say, use your immunity in the House or Senate wisely. Mash up as many reputations as possible. This is a quote. And spread juicy rumors. Page 83 of the script says, when in House or Senate, remember your job is to legislate, not take care of lazy people who are in need. So make laws that you can live with while you are in power or when you are out. Be belligerent and hostile. This rage will convince thousands of people who are preoccupied with form rather than substance that you are not only sincere, but also right. Bahamians, this is the next one, Bahamians are chronic complainers, especially when they hold someone else responsible. As a member, no, I can let you read it with emphasis. As a member of the opposition, you must be a cheerleader, finding things for them to complain about. And then leading by example. Complain every time, every time you see a microphone or a reporter. Mr. Deputy, I don't go down the whole script, the whole script. But I want to just tell the Bahamian people that this advice that came from the author of this book is incredible. And it's very uncanny that this script is similar, that this script. And it says something about that too. But I ain't going now. I read about it. Wow. But Mr. Deputy, I just wondered why they were following a similar script. Because no matter what we accomplish, they complain. No matter what we achieve, they oppose. No matter what we bring to the House, they say they can do better. No matter how we work, they attack and complain and attack and complain. Mr. Deputy, it's clear for the Bahamians to see how committed we are because we never got distracted by their words, and that's why we accomplished so much. The Bahamas is headed in the right direction. The numbers don't lie. Our economy is in great shape, way better, like night and day from what we met in place, and more. We have balanced the budget. We're a surplus.
Yes.
First ever in history. Our unemployment numbers are lower than they have been in decades, leaving the naysayers baffled and in the international community congratulating us for a remarkable job. However, we know there's no victory lap here. There's a lot more work ahead to build a 21st century Bahamas with more economic gains that reach more Bahamian people. Confidence in our work and abilities are high, and this is why we are seeing private and public sector increase across our archipelago in investments. Mr. Deputy, the hard-working people of Yamoussoukro appreciates the modernization of our electricity grid, bringing down prices and stabilizing our supply. It leaves more monies in the pockets of our people in my constituency and all across this country. We are hearing it from them. So we are not going to listen to the complainers. We listen to persons with genuine concerns, our Bahamian people. It leaves more monies in Bahamian pockets and more wiggle room for business expansions and hirings and clean environments overall, which is consistent with our foreign policy message of climate change and the promotion of energy. This budget, most importantly, shows investment in our Bahamian people with extensive opportunities. And when we look at investment in education, in training and upskilling, Bahamians with all kinds of talents and interests can build their own path to security and success. But I would say to Bahamians with talent, my message with you as a teacher, and it has always been, just be careful what you write or what you do at your young age. Because in the future, things can follow you. And we are asking that you continue to follow the Progressive Liberal Party because our heart is not just based on some script to swing anyone. We have shown that we are genuine, and we have shown that our budgets reflect this. It reflects our priorities in this particular one on security, opportunity, affordability, and reform. Yamoussoukro, Mr. Deputy, looks forward to the new fiscal year. And with those brief words, Yamoussoukro supports this 2025-2026 budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. As many. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Marco City.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, very rarely I get into a discussion about what I have done as a creative. But Mr. Deputy, I believe that this is probably the right moment to put some things on the record. This particular book, Still Standing, Mr. Deputy, is on the BGCSE syllabus for high school students. It's been on the syllabus, I think, for maybe going more than a decade. The member who just spoke is a teacher, was a former teacher. I happen to have conducted seminars for the Bahamas Union of Teachers while he was an executive of that particular union, as I've done for many professional organizations throughout the country. Yeah, you could sign on a pint of water. I mean, I'd yield, in fact, if I was speaking falsely. So I've conducted, Mr. Deputy, seminars for numerous financial services institutions, including the commercial banks, as well as offshore banks, and union executives and the members, including BUT, while the member for Yamoussoukro was in the executive. Furthermore, I believe outside of Chivago line, Mr. Deputy, that there isn't another Bahamian who's spoken to more schools throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas than I have, including graduations here in Turks and Caicos, etc. So I find it quite amazing.
Are you
Yeah,
wrapping up?
sure,
So
by all means.
the chair recognizes the honourable member for Yamakura.
He indicated twice something that is untrue. Never when I was an executive of the honorable member conducted any seminar in the Bahamas Union of Teachers.
Were you aware or present for any of the seminars that I conducted at Yamakura? No? Oh, okay, all right. So again, Mr. Deputy, what I find amazing is as an educator, that you'd be so disingenuous. I'd even go as far as to say so dishonest as to try and characterize, and I meant that word, as to try and characterize what is a very simple word that I think you understand as an educator.
The
yes,
chair
sir.
recognizes the honourable member for Yamakura.
If he has a rebuttal for something that he wrote, that he do not mischaracterize this member or any other member, that also seems like a script from the book. And so please do not call me a name. Dishonest is actually something that you would have to prove, and I was not dishonest in any of my words. I read verbatim your book. So you are, by calling me dishonest, you're being dishonest, and that's coming straight from your script. So don't. I know you don't like it, but that's what it is. You do. That's why you're on your feet.
Because I believe. No, I just want to put it in context in case anyone may misunderstand. So again, as a former educator, you fully understand the nature of the publication. Other than that, we would have failed in terms of putting you in the school system, right? So I appreciate the promotion that the Prime Minister provided. Unfortunately, it shows the desperation of the Progressive Liberal Party. The fact, Mr. Deputy, that they have gone to one. Let me finish this. They have gone to one of 3 publications in order. I'm finishing a statement. May I complete the statement, Mr. Deputy?
Let him complete, and
Yeah.
then we can wrap up, and then we can move on.
So, Mr. Deputy, they've gone to one of the 3 publications that I have in order to read words which I completely stand by, Mr. Deputy. Let me read for you some excerpts, Mr. Deputy. This is the book. The book is called Politics. Mr. Deputy, can I have some protection from
Order.
protection?
Members,
Thank
the
you.
chair recognizes the member for
Thank you.
Marco City.
Thank you very much. Yes.
So we could get past this
So,
and move on.
Mr. Deputy,
No, let him finish.
Mr. Deputy, just again to put in context, I'm going to read just a bit from the book. Mr. Deputy, I've written or participated in writing 7 theatrical productions, which I'm very proud of. Worked with some of the most brilliant Bahamians, and persons from the Turks and Caicos Island, Mr. Deputy. And the 7 productions are the longest running productions in the history of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and most well-attended productions. So let me go further in making this point. One of the components of those productions, and 3 in particular, were called political satire. That is, using humor to make a serious point and social commentary on the state of the country or the situation that you're satirizing. So it's a humorous way of talking about very serious issues. If you'll slow down, just listen for a moment.
Order, members.
And so as a result of it, and most Bahamians, particularly those who take the time to enjoy culture, like the member for Fort Charlotte, who I'm very surprised had not engaged in the discussion at all. Again, Mr. Speaker, very proud Very proud to have written those productions, Mr. Deputy. So the member for Cat Island and the member for Yamacraw seeks to use one of the books, Politics, and give the impression that the Free National Movement is in fact seeking to label persons inappropriately, take a course of action that is insincere based on this particular book. And I find it very laughable. So I will read some sections that apply to them. The book is called Politics, a confidential handbook for politicians, aspiring politicians, and political soldiers. Revealed to Michael Pintard by participants, PLPs, FNMs, and others. Observers revealed to Michael Pintard by participants, observers, and people who ought to know. And again, it is a hilarious book, so I commend it to any member of the public that is interested in purchasing the book. So again, let me just go to a couple of sections for you.
Honorable member, honorable member, can you wrap up and then about a minute?
I'm just reading
Okay.
the equivalent sections to the Prime Minister and the equivalent sections to the member for Yamacraw. Periodically, it is useful to examine the unofficial and unspoken and the underside of a political process. Most often, when this is done, it is with a view of transforming the system or process. However, in this case, the author simply had a lot of extra time on his hand, and that hand found a pen. This hand was ultimately connected to a head with keen eyes and saw and ears that heard about things occurring in the political arena that were, shall we say, interesting. The author has captured some of these interesting things in these pages. Since most politicians and political soldiers that you and I know do not function in the ways outlined here, it is safe to say that it is only unknown political figures that behave in such a manner. Therefore, remember, when you are certain that a politician you know is behaving in the despicable manner described within this handbook, in essence, your eyes and ears are playing tricks on you. Hence, it is only fitting that this important work of fiction be entitled Politics. So I'm gonna stop there for a moment. I'm gonna stop there for a moment, Mr. Deputy. I only asked the member for Yamacraw, as an educator, explain to you, the Prime Minister what satire is. As for me, I have no concerns. I hold up the very, so it's not a script. It's not a script. It is a book of satire, political humor that you should explain to the Prime Minister what political humor is as an educator, unless you yourself is unaware of what satire is.
Thank you, honorable member. Order that the documents be brought up. I want to see the documents.
I want to start with him laying the document. He has an idea.
No,
I don't think we need.
the chair recognizes the honorable member for Freetown.
You know, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I suspected that the member for Marco City would describe that book as satire. The Oxford Dictionary describes satire as the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices. So satire is actually criticizing what you think people do. And I would ask everyone to read that satirical book, because where it talks about the voter, it's talking about their stupidity or vices and using humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose it. That's what comedians do. They make fun of reality. And so that is what the member for Marco City thinks. Satirically is the reality.
Thank you, honorable member.
The category you missed out is I describe the things that PLP say, that FNM say about politicians, and some of whom, unfortunately, sit in the parliament today. So again, I stand by the book. Stand by the book.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many, the chair recognizes the Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Yamakro.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy. And I'm glad the member, because the member's been out of order, because he wants to do two things. He wants to make his case, and then he wants to insult the intelligence of the Prime Minister, that I got to define something for the Prime Minister. He wants to insult my intelligence, and then he goes very low. And see, if you wanna to fight your case, you came in here. I read. I've obviously hit a chord with you, right? It hit a chord. You said something. You know what I don't find funny? You know what I don't find funny? I don't find funny what you having that book about who to sleep with and how to do it for politics, right? About hey, listen, there's a lot of things with money, and I encourage people now to read it. And guess what? And they are your words. They are your words, and it's clearly how you think. And it's a book by you. And then when you get up to say, hey, this is only satire, you can't do it without insult. Yeah, there you go, Sean. Listen.
Members,
me and you ain't even on the same level, so I ain't rolling over in the mud with you. What I'm saying is, only you could be happy if we roll over in the mud. But I could tell you that, Mr. Deputy, the man is being very insulting, and I am not going to condone. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Honorable Member, I'm going to have to shut this down right now.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm going to have to shut this down, and we're going to get on with the debate.
You don't know what I've come out of his mouth.
We're going to get on with the debate right now.
You don't want to have gone in his mouth.
Southern Shores. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Southern Shores. Members. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Southern Shores.
Psalms 37, verse 23 said, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. I need to light it in this way. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This evening, I stand tall with a sense of pride and appreciation to represent the wonderful people of Southern Shores. As I stand in this honorable house, not just as their member of parliament, but as a voice for their aspirations, concerns, and dreams of our constituency. Southern Shores, Mr. Deputy, is more than just a constituency. It is a vibrant force of hard-working individuals, families, and businesses that deserve leadership committed to progress, prosperity, and fairness. Mr. Deputy, we are at a pivotal moment in our country where strong leadership and physical discipline are essential for sustainable economic growth and financial stability. Furthermore, we are at a point where strong decision-making and bold actions are required to shape the future we envision. Whether it is improving infrastructure, strengthening economic opportunities, advancing education, or ensuring safety in our communities, this administration is championing the cause with unwavering dedication. Mr. Deputy, this debate is not just about policy. It is about people. It is not mere procedural necessity, no. It is about this government's shared commitment to uplift its people and drive meaningful change. It is about this government commitment to shaping a Bahamas where every citizen has a chance to succeed. This budget is all about this government remaining laser focused that every citizen benefit, not just a select few. To sum it all up, Mr. Deputy, this budget is about the financial decisions we make reflects the needs, ambitions, and dreams of the people we serve. This 2025-2026 budget is just about that. It reflects the needs, ambitions, and dreams of the people we serve. It is about investing in them and investing in their future. Mr. Deputy, before I highlight some winnings from this budget, I must commend the Davis administration for a remarkable job they are doing. Under his quiet yet unassuming leadership, our Prime Minister and Minister of Finance has demonstrated time after time that he is brave and not afraid to make hard decisions or bold steps. Mr. Deputy, in September 2021, he inherited a broken country with hurting people. The Bahamas was facing some of the toughest economic conditions in living memories. Our debt burden was high. Government finances were stretched thin, and the country was still swaggering from the global pandemic and Hurricane Dorian. But our leader made a commitment to the Bahamian people that he would bring stability, restore credibility, and build a stronger and fairer economy for all Bahamians. So said, so done. And as a result of his commitment and steady leadership, the IMF, in its latest report on the Bahamas, published in January 2025, highlighted the strong recovery of the Bahamian economy post-pandemic as remarkable. In other words, Mr. Deputy, this government is doing remarkable things. Mr. Deputy, for the first time in almost 20 years, an international credit rating, Moody, has given the Bahamas a positive outlook from stable to positive on our sovereign credit rating. They recognized that our country is heading in the right direction. Debt is failing and the economy is growing. That is remarkable. Mr. Deputy, for the first time since independence, 1973, I was 10, this government, the Davis administration, has strategically secured a balanced budget. And not just a balanced budget, Mr. Deputy, but a balanced budget with a surplus of $75 million. That is remarkable. Mr. Deputy, our administration is the first to roll out a national school breakfast program. Free breakfast to all our primary school students, not only in New Providence, but some of the family islands. But soon, Mr. Deputy, this breakfast will be rolled out to every island and every school in the Bahamas. To date, over 500,000 hot breakfasts have been served. And by the end of this school term, the breakfast program will have served 930,000 breakfasts. That is remarkable. This is a game-changing initiative. It was created to improve school attendance and students' productivity, have shown that a dramatic change in the attendance rate, having surged from under 50% in 2021 to 2022 school year to an impressive 95% today. That is remarkable. Mr. Deputy, this administration is the first to launch our country's first National Youth Guard. This is a service program which focuses on equipping young people with the necessary skills to assist our security services during national emergencies or disaster. These cadets also receive hands-on experience in areas such as firefighting, carpentry, electrical work, water safety, and public infrastructure. Today, hundreds of young cadets have already taken advantage of this great initiative. That is what I call remarkable. Mr. Deputy, this administration also the first to put free Wi-Fi nationwide in community parks across the Bahamas. And the purpose of that, Mr. Deputy, is to bridge the digital divide. Many residents, especially our school-aged children, may not have reliable internet access at home. Yes. This free Wi-Fi zone allows them to connect to educational resources and stay informed. Furthermore, it enhances social inclusion. It is a part of a broader government effort to ensure equitable access to technology regardless of economic status. That is what I call remarkable. Mr. Deputy, this government is also the first to conduct a nationwide learning assessment in our schools to assess policymakers, educators, and stakeholders understand academic performance, identify gaps, and improve teaching strategies. This government is the first to launch the Golden Yoke Project, or the Golden Yoke Program, which is designed to empower our local poultry farmers while enhancing self-sufficiency in egg production. That is what I call remarkable. This government is the first to pass a law, and this is for you, Marco. This government is the first to pass a law ensuring intellectual property rights for our artists and our creators, so that they can benefit fully from what they produce. That is what I call remarkable. Mr. Deputy, our economy is growing. Our people are working. And lives of the Bahamian people are better today than it was in September, before September 2016, 2021. According to the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, economic activities in the Bahamas demonstrated a positive trend in 2024, with nominal growth recorded at 3.7% and real growth at 3.4% when compared to 2023. The IMF has projected that real economic growth in the Bahamas will moderate to 1.8% in 2025. These figures present the highest output ever recorded in this country. That is what I call remarkable. The Bahamas stands ahead of tourism-driven islands nations such as Jamaica, Barbados, and St. Lucia. This high GDP per capita indicates that the Bahamian economy is performing strongly, with our people contributing significantly to the national productivity and economic output. Mr. Deputy, tourism is the cornerstone of the Bahamian economy, achieving an historic high in 2024. The Bahamas experienced a record-breaking of 11.2 million international visitors to our shores in 2024, surpassing the 9.1 million arrival recorded in 2023. Foreign air arrival totaled 1.7 million in 2024, holding steady with 2023 levels and outperforming 2019 arrivals by 3.3%. Cruise arrival totaled 9.4 million in 2024, reflecting year-over-year growth of 20.6%, and surpassed 2019 levels by 72.1%. That is what I call remarkable. Mr. Deputy, The 2025-2026 budget emphasizes strong leadership and fiscal discipline. It aims to promote sustainable and inclusive growth across all islands, expanding opportunities island by island. It focuses on security, opportunities, affordabilities, and reform, aiming to modernize government services, stimulate present sector investment, and strengthen public infrastructure. From Grand Bahama to the north to Inagua in the south, this budget is highlighting targeted investment in infrastructure, education, healthcare, digital innovation, and economic empowerment with a focus on job creation, small business support, and community resilience. Mr. Deputy, we are experiencing strong momentum in our construction industry, our information and communication sector, agriculture, forestry, fishing industry also contributed a growth with the sector expanding by 21% in 2024. Mr. Deputy, the Bahamian marine environment is one of our greatest, rich in biodiversity, cultural significance, and economic value. This administration will be introducing measures to ensure that those who benefit from our marine space also contribute to its sustainability. To better protect our marine environment and support long-term stewardship of our waters, this administration will introduce a framework to implement an environmental levy on seabed leases for commercial activities to reflect the true value of our marine territories. It will also enforce cruising permit fees for tenders and boats 25 feet or larger, ensuring every vessel has its own valid permit, and introduce environmental penalties to discourage harmful practices to preserve the health of our marine ecosystem. These measures are not about discouraging use. They are about responsible use. They are about ensuring that those who enjoy our waters also help to preserve them, and for future generations of Bahamians to inherit an ocean that is abundant, healthy, and protected. That is what I call remarkable planning. Mr. Deputy, this administration remains focused on addressing the high cost of living. Due to the recent effect of global inflation, economies around the world, including the Bahamas, have faced significant price increases. As a result, Bahamian families have struggled under the weight of high prices for food, household items, and basic hygiene necessities. This administration understands the difficulties, and in this budget, we are acting decisively to bring relief to our people. In spite of raising the minimum wage and adjusting public sector salaries, this administration will be reducing VAT rate to 5% on a range of products that are crucial for the well-being of our people. These products include baby diapers, Depends, feminine hygiene products, prescription and non-prescription drugs, medical and dental supplies, and therapeutic items. These reductions will take place on September 1st, 2025, ensuring that Bahamians of all ages and stages of life can access essential products without the added burden of high taxes. Mr. Deputy, knowing that the Bahamas is situated in a region frequently impacted by hurricanes, this administration are also reducing custom duties on dozens of essential items, products that Bahamians purchase every week. items that matters in every kitchen, in every bathroom, in every nursery, and every home. We are helping families, homeowners, and small contractors by removing the custom duty on refactored cement, mortars, and concrete, copper fittings, screws, nuts, bolts, filters of all kinds, whether it is water filter or air conditioning filter. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the reduction of these duties on these items will bring relief to the structure, to the sector. Mr. Deputy, this administration is making additional unprecedented investment in our national security during this upcoming fiscal year. These investments spans the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, and other key security agencies. The securities of our borders are fundamental, and the sovereignty and safety of our nations. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force will benefit from strategic investment, including modernizing the key base at Coral Harbor and Inagua, upgrading the Defense Force fleet, specialized equipment, including aircraft refurbishment, which improves aerial surveillance, mobility, and response item. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as I said earlier, Southern Shores is a diverse community, but more importantly, it is also a farming community. Bonefish Pond and Cowpen Road farming communities, which are located in Southern Shores, are the agricultural hub in New Providence. Our farmers are hardworking, resilient, and unwavering dedication to ensure that our community has fresh, nourishing produce every day. I am pleased to see that this administration is increasing support to our farmers by 200% and expanding overall agricultural budget from $25 million to $35 million. That is what I call remarkable. The farmers in our country now could breathe a sigh of relief, Minister of Agriculture. These committed farmers who dedicated themselves wholeheartedly to their crafts are facing a variety of challenges that test their resilience. And these are the ones I'm speaking about in my community, in Bonefish Pond. Deplorable road access, constant farm theft, lack of security lighting, and also we have problem fundings and lack of fundings that have made their life so difficult and made their tasks unsuccessful. And so let me just fix that again. They have problems with their roads, and they have problems with farm theft, they have problems with security and lighting. And so whatever the ministry could do to help fix that, we would be good. Mr. Deputy, I'm also pleased to see that our government has secured $90 million loan from the Inter-American Development Bank to invest in comprehensive road and drainage improvement in New Providence. To the constituents of Southern Shores, relief is on the way. Yeah. God knows we need it, especially those living in flood plains such as McVeigh Circle. And I just want to talk about McVeigh Circle. I wish the Minister of Works was here. But whenever it rained in McVeigh Circle, and McVeigh Circle is located in the back of Marshall Road, many of the residents in that community have to leave their homes when it's raining. Because immediately right in the back of their homes, there's Bonefish Pond. And once they have, a king tide and the rain, water just automatically consumes the whole entire neighborhood. And we've tried everything possible. We had fire trucks to come pump. overnight for 2 nights. I had a generator there just pumping water all night. It just, nothing happened. And so that area needs to be fixed. Some of the residents say, man, you just need to give up on this because there's nothing we could do. But I'm going to ask the minister responsible for works to look at that area and see how best we could maybe protect that community by putting some kind of barrier or something around it. Seawall, exactly. Put a seawall in that particular area because it is really unbearable for those communities. And we have the rainy season is here now. And so I know that we're going to have it rough for the next few months, you know, especially during September and October. We're going to have it really rough. And so I trust that that community would be smiled on, and we could bring some closure to that. But the areas that I have floodings in Southern Shores, it is McVeigh Circle, which happens to be one of them. Pratt's Close, that's off Golden Isles Road. That's another area, but just a portion of it, where on the northern side there is a hill, and on the southern side there is a hill. So that middle piece in there, the homes in that area are literally flooded. And you will find a number of them at the entrance. They would build up their, I guess, put a wall in their doorway to ensure from water, to ensure that water do not come into the homes, but that can't even stop it because sometimes it goes high, especially when cars pass through it. So that is a very serious matter in Pratt's Close. Penfold Close and Caribbean Close. There are a few areas that we also have floodings. Madam Speaker, I also realized that part of this $90 million, sorry, Mr. Deputy, part of this $90 million is also dedicated to road improvement. I want to thank the Minister responsible for works. He have already started some road works in Southern Shores, but there is so much more need to be done. In Millis Heights, we need some more road works done. Alexandria Boulevard, where Galvantine's primary school is. I want to make that one of our priorities. We want to get that road paved. Sunset Park, where we started, but we have to continue. Carolina Close, Marshall Road South. The road is horrible. It's patching all over it. I think that they already had someone came by to assess it. And so I trust that in this budget, that some of the funds will be used to correct the problems we have in Marshall Road. And also, one of the dearest area that is near to me, Misty Gardens. That's where I live, and the road is bad, all right? The entrance is bad. A year and a half ago, again, Marshall Road, the main Marshall Road, is higher than Misty Gardens. So Misty Garden is really like a sink, a bowl. When we had Hurricane Matthew, the bulletin went out by the then Member of Parliament, Ken Dorset. And we went door to door telling people that, hey, Hurricane Matthew coming from the south, and it's going to bring a big tidal wave, you know. And we were trying to get the people, you know, out of Misty Gardens. You know, we were trying to get the people out of Misty Gardens. Well, I told my family, I said, man, I ain't getting away. They always say that. But I was going door to door telling people to leave, but then me and my family, we stayed. The good thing about it, that Matthew came in the morning and not in the night. So I stayed up all night, we watched to make sure nothing happened, you know, no rain, nothing. It's just a lot of wind. And then early that morning, I told my daughter, I said, I'm going to go to sleep. And I said, if anything, just wake me up. And so I went, the doors off, and my daughter waked me up, but half an hour later said, Daddy, I see water in the back of the yard. So I get up, and I suck my teeth. I said, man, I know water, man, that's a little puddle. You know, I go back to sleep again. And then she wake up, Daddy, I see more water in the back of the yard. So I get up and look, I said, man, Daddy, no water, that's a puddle. All right? I go on to sleep again.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
I just moved that the House continues beyond 7 p.m.
Is there a seconder? It has been moved and seconded that the business of the House do continue beyond the 7 p.m. hour. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of the House will continue beyond the 7 p.m. hour. As many, the chair recognizes the honourable member for Southern Shores.
And so the third time, And my daughter came and said, Daddy, we have water in the back of the yard. I look through the window, and I tell my wife, pack your bags, get everything, and let's roll out of here. I'm telling you, man, when I opened the door, this is no joke, it's very serious. When I opened the door, the water just knocked me and my family back into the house. My house was literally waist deep in water. We lose every single thing from Hurricane Matthew. And I'm telling you that it is serious because, you know, we have the ocean front right there. And again, the seawall has been torn down for many, many, many years. But it is very important that we in Marshall Road get some kind of attention from the drainage, from the road work, and also from the seawall. This budget, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is full of possibilities, which means that there's room for growth, creativity, and smart decision-making. Someone said leadership at its best leave a legacy that endures beyond a single moment or challenge. I believe that we have a leader that will leave a legacy that we could look back in 2026 and embrace that legacy. Before I take my seat, I wish to congratulate our leader for a sound, progressive, and attainable budget. Southern Shores support this budget, and we pray that God will continue to bless our leader. God bless you too, you know. Bless the constituency of Southern Shores. And may God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many? The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Fort Charlotte.
Deputy Speaker, I wish to reserve next sitting.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Freetown.
Deputy Speaker, I now move that the House to suspend its business to Tuesday, the 10th of June at 10 a.m. Oh, sorry, at 3 p.m.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Sorry, 3 p.m.
Is there a seconder? It has been moved and seconded that the business of the House stands suspended until the 10th of June, 2025 at 3 p.m. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The House stands suspended until the 10th of June, 2025 at 3 p.m.